Emperor of the Desert. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 501 World-Class Boss. At the same time, on the 9th floor of the Great Tomb of Nazarick, Momonga, Ains, was sitting on a chair. In front of him, there was a mirror. This was a prop in the game, the mirror of remote viewing, which allowed him to observe the scene around Nazarick. This was not a powerful prop, but it could only display the scene of a designated location. It could block snooping with a simple counterintelligence skill, and if there was an offensive defense, it could even directly counterattack the holder. It was just a mediocre prop. Ains's skeleton palm waved left and right above the mirror, scrolling the image. The grassland outside the village of Qin flashed on the mirror like a movie screen, until the scene turned to Qin village. A group of humanoid creatures that were obviously demonic monsters were moving around in the village, and there were also humans in the village. Demons and humans live together? No, Ains-sama, it shouldn't be. Sebastian shook his head beside him. Sebastian's eyes swept across the scene on the mirror, and the humans in the picture were consciously staying away from the demons. With his reminder, Ains also discovered this situation. Slaves, in the game of World Tree, some plot missions and side missions also have plots where humans are enslaved by non-human races or humans enslave non-human races. No, if it is slaves, it is too loose. Ains's skeleton face had no expression, thinking in his heart, the ones who work are all demons, and humans don't work. Ains looked carefully, looking at the whole village. Only demons are working, and humans basically have no work. They just look at a girl with a complex look of fear. Demons are more like slaves. Are they summoned servants? The setting of the game World Tree is similar to D&D, and there are also warlocks who can summon demons. However, in the same way, to become a demon warlock, you need to have conditions such as purgatory contract and demon blood. Just like Hulbert and Demiurge created, they are demon races themselves, so they can directly become demon warlocks and obtain the skills to summon demons. However, Hulbert was similar to him. He specialized in the necromancy system, while the other party stacked all his skills into offensive and destructive skills. He had never seen Hulbert use skills such as summoning demons. Maybe not. After a while of thinking, Ains's attention returned to the village itself. These demons should be summoned by people with demon summoning professions, regardless of their strength. He had never seen these demons in the game, which meant that they were not monsters in Drizzle. Through the telescope, he could not directly determine the strength of these demons, but they looked strong. The masters of these demons should be of high level. Fortunately, he had already taken precautions before spying. Counter-detect, protect the spying behavior itself so that the other party could not detect it. Fake cover, when the other party conducts counter-reconnaissance, only fake and false information can be obtained. Ains prepared up to 10 magic scrolls for a prevention. Although he was not as good as Bunyu himself, he still learned some things, such as when using magic to collect intelligence, you must make precautions in advance. This is the most basic teaching. After looking around, Ains finally determined from the human villagers that the summoner of these demons was a girl. This village needs to be carefully checked. This village is not too far from the Great Tomb of Nazarick, and it needs to be guarded against with the highest priority. Lord Ains, I think so too, and there is another place. Under the guidance of Sebastian, Ains scrolled the picture to the grassland outside the village. There are traces of fighting here, and it looks strong. A huge pit appeared on the originally empty grassland, and the surrounding area of the pit was full of charred marks. It should have been bombarded by lightning or fire skills, but now, there is nothing here. But what is certain is that the incident happened not long ago, that is, today or yesterday. But at this moment, a picture appeared in the telescope. A black object suddenly appeared on the left edge of the telescope, covering nearly 1/5 of the telescope's mirror surface. What is this? Ains immediately swung his wrist, scrolling the image and turning the telescope's view to the north. Behind him, in the middle of a forest, a giant tree was swaying its branches. Is this a world-class boss? After adjusting the telescope's view, Ains roughly estimated the size of the giant tree in his mind. After finally determining that the tree was 1,000 meters tall, he opened his mouth. The largest NPC in the Great Tomb of Nazarick was the guardian of the Great Tomb of Nazarick before it was occupied by the Ain-Soagaun Guild, the fourth-tier guardian Jiao Kengda, a golem who was 30 meters tall, over 1,000 meters. What does this mean? Ains found some major official events updated a few years ago when Drizzle was still popular from his past game memories. Only world-class bosses named after mythical monsters and beasts, such as Nihog, the world boss that appears in the World Destruction Crisis series of events, had this size. It's really exaggerated, because he became an undead, even though Ains felt a little surprised because of Suzuki Satoru's personality. He soon calmed down because of the characteristics of the undead. Sebastian, raise the alert level of Nazarick to the highest level and send Albedo over. Ains hesitated. Should I go and take a look? If it's 100 meters, it's fine. Even in some money dungeons, he has seen golden slimes that are tens of meters or even 100 meters in size, but 1,000 meters is so exaggerated. If a world-class boss really refreshes near a guild, it will be a big problem for any guild. It's an opportunity, but it may also cause trouble. By the way, inform Demiurge and ask him to check the situation of the small village with demons. Let him see what's going on. Safety is the priority. If you encounter any situation, leave immediately and don't fight. Yes, the village is too close to Nazarick, so it is necessary to carefully confirm the situation. The person who determines the situation is naturally Demiurge, the NPC of the highest level demon monster. I don't know where Albert ran off to. It's better to leave this kind of thing to him. He is so cunning. He threw all the work to me. After complaining to Albert with a smile in his heart, Ains continued to instruct Sebastian with an expressionless face. When Demiurge and Albedo leave, if there is an invasion, Sebastian, you will be in charge of the command before we rush back. Yes, Lord Ains. At the same time, outside the Great Tomb of Nazarick, Demiurge, who was directing Golem to repair the details of Mare's cover-up of the Great Tomb of Nazarick, also saw the giant tree that suddenly appeared in the distance. Chapter 502 Fatal Siphon. Although he expected that the people of Nazarick would see and come, Qin Ren still had no intention of opening his vision. He still lay leisurely on the back of the giant hamster Hamsuk, watching the giant hand formed by countless roots grab the magic tree set Kui like an eagle beating a chick. The world's grip, reveal the true body of the world tree and crush the enemy. At this time, the true form of prosperity has been revealed. On the front and back of the tree trunk, the relief-like men and women, who were hugging their bodies with their hands. Originally only the female figure opened her eyes, but the next moment, the male relief on the other side of the tree trunk behind her also opened his eyes. Reverse life. Prosperity's ability can separate the two sides of the body. The female side focuses on treatment and defense, while the male side focuses on attack and absorption. However, at this time, Prosperity has no intention of separating the other side. It is not necessary. There is no need to use the reverse life to deal with such a weak creature. The moment the male relief opened his eyes, the female relief closed her eyes. In an instant, the giant tree, which was originally dark but still glowing with a gentle light green glow, turned blood red. The originally rounded and soft lines of the giant tree also hardened at this moment, becoming sharp and hideous. It is more terrifying than the image of the magic tree set Kui, reduced its own defense ability, greatly increased its offensiveness, decreased its ability to heal others, but greatly increased its ability to absorb life. And such a transformation has only one purpose: fatal siphoning. The blood-colored brilliance that originally lingered on the body of Fan Hong spread to the body of the demon tree set Kui, which was cut in half. Buzz buzz buzz, accompanied by a strong tremor. At a speed visible to the naked eye, the body of the demon tree set Kui quickly turned gray, and the flesh and blood quickly became dry. In less than a second, the whole body shrank down. The shrinking speed was so fast that it was like a punctured balloon. 2 seconds, the body of the demon tree set Kui completely turned into a dried corpse. 3 seconds, countless cracks appeared on the dried corpse. 4 seconds, like a burnt dry firewood, dry ashes continued to fall from the body of the demon tree set Kui. the giant hand of Fanarong's root loosened, and the dried corpse of the magic tree set Kui fell from his hand. The moment it landed on the ground, it was shattered into a pile of black and gray ashes. The Dragon King of Destruction, the demon tree set Kui, died. The blood-colored light lingering on Fanarong's body became much brighter. But soon, this blood-colored light also slowly faded away. It was completely digested by Fanarong. Looking at Fanarong's performance, Qin Ren smiled and nodded. Not bad. Supreme, do you have any other instructions? Compared with the gentle tolerance when he was more female, Fanarong, who was now more male, had a stronger tone, but it was only relative. For Qin Ren, who was the creator, the supreme, and the father god, he still respected and worshipped him. Next, you will develop this forest as the Forest of Plenty for a while. After that, you will be the Dragon King of Destruction and the Magic Tree set Kui. Qin Ren naturally did not forget that he came to the Tobu Great Forest to do level design. Your will. Just as Qin Ren's voice only rang in his ears, Fan Hong also directly conveyed the voice to Qin Ren. The reason why Qin Ren did this was naturally because he already knew that Taints and others had arrived. His eyes flashed over Hamsuk and Pennies, and Qin Ren's eyes flashed with brilliance, and blurry images of pages and text appeared in his pupils. Pennies and Hamsuk's eyes were stunned for a moment. After operating the memory, Qin Ren waved his right hand, and the image of the demon god's script appeared again, and then his body changed. The golden hair turned gray and covered the entire head, and the human-shaped head also twisted into a goat head, with two strange and curved goat horns on the top of the head. A black and red dress that looked like a suit appeared on his body. Albert. Qin Ren once again transformed into Albert's posture. A new idea suddenly popped up in his mind. A play within a play within a play. Qin Ren acted completely at will, without any hesitation, after he transformed into Albert again. Aints and Albedo, who came to check the situation, also arrived. In the portal formed by the black power surging like a shadow, Albedo, wearing a black armor, and Aints, wearing a slightly funny jealousy mask, walked out. Albedo, get ready. Be ready to use defensive skills to protect me at any time. Aints did not carry the guild scepter with him. Once the guild scepter was damaged, the entire Great Tomb of Nazarick would be affected. He went out this time just to confirm the situation. How could he not care about the huge creature suspected to be the world boss appearing not far from Nazarick? Not to mention the world-class boss, even the general group-level dungeon boss is not something that he and Albedo can deal with. He came here just to get first-hand information. If he was attacked, he just had to make sure he could retreat. He had already prepared various types of retreat items. Once he was sure that he could not win, he only needed to let Albedo block for a while, let him finish using the items and skills, and then he could retreat. With this in mind, Aints ordered. Yes, Lord Aints. Albedo, who had her settings modified and loved Aints, responded with great respect. At this moment, Albedo seemed to have noticed something, and suddenly raised her head and looked forward. Lord Aints. It's Lord Albert. Albert? Aints looked in the direction she pointed in surprise. Sure enough, in the distance, a humanoid creature with a goat head and wearing a black and red suit was squatting on the top of a tree, looking at the giant tree in the center of the forest. After his voice sounded, the other party seemed to have noticed something and turned around. Oh, it's Aints. Are you finally here? Chapter 503. Can the devil's acting be called acting? Why are you here? After seeing Albert and confirming that the other party was real, Aints immediately moved to the other party's side and asked his friend. Of course, I am investigating the environment around Nazarick. Holding the metal mask on his right face, Qin Ren said in Albert's tone, to conquer the world, we must naturally start with the forces around Nazarick. You really want to conquer the world? Hearing this, Aints was shocked, and then turned his eyes to the towering tree with a hideous appearance in the north of the forest. Could this tree be? No, this boss was not summoned by me. Qin Ren explained, I heard that there are 3 major monsters in this forest, east, west and south. I was wondering why there are no monsters in the north. After I came to the north, I found that there was a monster sleeping here, and Qin Ren stretched out his voice. When I came here, I found that a group of people who seemed to believe in the devil had just completed the ritual to awaken this monster, Destruction the Dragon King, Demon Tree, said Kui. That's what the group called it. Qin Ren replied, believe in demons? Something like Satanism. Has it appeared in Yggdrasil? Ains pondered for a moment and said a term. In the real world, there is Satanism that believes in demons. In Yggdrasil, there is also a demon organization based on Satanism. Ains is not unfamiliar with such organizations. However, after obtaining some information now, it is obvious that this different world is not the world in the Yggdrasil game. Hearing this, Qin Ren shook his head. Although there are some similarities, I don't think the same thing has appeared in Yggdrasil. The awakened sealed monster. Ains looked at the huge and ferocious giant tree that broke through the clouds. This level should be 100, right? His question was naturally directed at Qin Ren. In Yggdrasil, the gap between levels is obvious at each level, and it becomes more obvious at high levels. In the range of 95-100, there is a big gap between each level. Ains remembered that Ulbert had used the ultimate skill of the World Disaster class, Great Disaster, to destroy a group of level 90 monsters in one blow. The level of this giant tree is either 100 or 95. The numbers are similar, but the meaning is completely different. I think there is a level 101, Qin Ren said in Ulbert's tone, and in terms of health, if the boss monster in Yggdrasil is a level 100 boss, its attack and defense attributes may not be much different from those of the player, but in terms of health, it is completely different. If it is a level 100 boss monster, it may take a lot of resources to defeat it. Ains opened his mouth and stared at the giant tree with his hollow eyes. Finally, he fell silent and turned his gaze to Qin Ren. Are those who awakened the magic tree said Kui still around? It was obvious that Ains did not plan to attack Prosperity, which replaced the magic tree, said Kui, for the time being. Instead, he turned around and asked about the organization that Qin Ren mentioned, which was similar to Satanism and believed in demons. If you don't attack Prosperity, Prosperity will attack Nazarick. Ains changed the subject. Qin Ren naturally understood what he was thinking, but Prosperity was the script he had set up. In his current script, Prosperity would definitely attack Nazarick after that. However, it was undoubtedly wise for Ains not to take action now. After all, it was only less than a day since he came here. He didn't even know how many forces there were in this world and the details of the forces around him. He just started fighting. It was not a question of recklessness, but a question of stupidity. Normal people would choose to ignore it and wait and see. Moreover, although Ains was not very smart, he still had some brains, which was smarter than ordinary people. Of course, Qin Ren did not say this, but continued to make up. After successfully completing the ritual and the magic tree began to awaken, they used the skills similar to teleportation and left directly. You should also know that I don't have anything suitable for tracking, and I'm not sure what the awakening thing is, so I didn't act rashly. Hearing this, Ains was not surprised. After all, when Ulbert quit the pit before, he handed over all the equipment and tradable props to him like other members who quit the pit. As for skills, Ulbert took the path of offensive specialization. Unlike Bunny Umang and others, he didn't have many skills that could be used for intelligence warfare. This is why he didn't think of Ulbert at the first time when he found that there were signs of summoning demon monsters in the small village. Hey, wait a minute? Ains was slightly stunned. Could the demon monsters in the small village be created by this cult? However, he soon came to his senses and responded to Qin Ren's words. Ulbert, you have already investigated this place, right? Then let's go back to Nazarick to sort out the information. He had just sent Demiurge to the small village to collect intelligence, and he didn't know how much information he could collect in such a short time. Okay, Qin Ren nodded in response. The next moment, Ains opened the portal and the three of them walked in. At the same time, in Karn village, Demiurge, who received Ains's order, immediately set out to Karn village. Using various skills to spy on the outside, and through suggestive hypnosis control, he learned from the villagers that this village was originally a village where ordinary people lived, but it had only encountered a change half a day ago, and the person who commanded those demons was originally just an ordinary girl. Only then did Demiurge begin to prepare to really sneak in. Those monsters he didn't recognize were indeed demons. But after identification, he also confirmed that these demons were transformed from humans. Convert other races into demons? What a rare skill! Demiurge raised his glasses. In his memory, the skills that can convert races are basically only skills such as creating undead, turning corpses into undead. Converting living targets into demons is a skill that Demiurge has never seen. However, if it is Lord Albert, he might be interested in his cognition. As the supreme of evil, Lord Albert has no interest in those small tricks. What Lord Albert pursues is the extremely powerful destructive force that can destroy everything in an instant. The ability to convert other races into demons. If Lord Albert is willing, he will definitely be able to do it. Demiurge has a fanatical worship for Lord Albert who created him. Chapter 504, Warrior Captain Gaisf. After Demiurge had confirmed the situation, he was sure that there was no stronger target in the village than himself, so he prepared to disguise himself and go in to communicate with the girl called Inri, to obtain information and the technology to transform living creatures into demons. If he succeeded, it would be extremely beneficial to the Great Tomb of Nazarick, and Lord Albert would be happy. Raising his glasses, a smile appeared on Demiurge's face. However, at this moment, a shadow under his feet began to move and made a sound. Shadow demon, demon that can hide in the shadow. Hearing the sound, Demiurge's eyes turned to the southeast of Carni village. Human army, Riest's kingdom. Is this direction a Randall fortress? Through skills such as memory operation and mind control, he certainly not only got the news about this village from the village chief, but also the situation around this area and this kingdom. And he also knew almost everything. Nazarick is located in the southeast corner of the Riest's kingdom. East and southeast of the kingdom is the Bahar's empire. Due south-southwest is the Silian theocracy. To the southwest of the kingdom of Riest's, to the west of the Silian theocracy, is a huge plain where various demahumans live. To the west of the demahuman plain is the Holy Kingdom. To the north of Nazarick, due east of the kingdom, at the eastern border between the Bahar's Empire and the kingdom, is the Dwarf Kingdom. As for places further away, the village chief who used to be a traveler didn't know either. He only knew that at the border between the empire and the theocracy, there was an undead plain that seemed to have experienced a war and was full of corpses, thus generating countless undead. For Demiurge, this information was very important. According to the previous plan, when Aunt Sama and Albert Sama asked Mare to hide Nazarick, in order not to expose Nazarick, he decided not to attack the national forces around Nazarick first, but to start with places farther away, such as the Holy Kingdom. But now, Albert Sama and Aintz's plans seem to be different from his own. It seems that Lord Albert does not intend to hide the Great Tomb of Nazarick. I see. As if thinking of something, Demiurge's strange eyes under his glasses, which looked like crystal and diamond, glowed. As expected of Lord Albert, are you going to conquer the world head-on? But, Lord Aintz, who is so far-sighted, will he agree with Lord Albert's plan? Demiurge, who had already thought of tens of thousands of words of plans, began to think. As the ruler of the 41 supreme beings and the strategist who led the other 40 supreme beings, even if he put all his brains into it, he could not figure out Lord Aintz's entire plan. If Lord Aintz's plan was different from Lord Albert's, what should he do? Lord Albert was his creator, and to Demiurge, he was like a father figure. But he was also loyal to the Great Tomb of Nazarick, so the opinion of Ain't Sama, the master of the Great Tomb of Nazarick, should be given priority. Demiurge raised his glasses. If this situation really happened, he would be in a difficult situation. Should he remain silent at that time? Even as smart as he was, it was difficult to do so on this issue. Then prepare two plans, even if his wisdom was far inferior to that of the two supremes. As long as he tried his best and aimed at the prosperity of Nazarick, at least there would not be too many problems. After struggling for a while, Demiurge's thoughts returned to the main topic. He glanced at the village of Karn and then turned his gaze to the plain next to it. Compared with the human army, Karn village was more important. At the same time, in the southeast of Karn village, a kingdom team of about 50 people was rushing towards Karn village. Of course, they didn't know that a powerful demon had given up the decision to target them. The leader of this team was also very conspicuous in this team where every soldier was very strong. The man with short black hair who looked to be in his 30s had a dark complexion, which was obviously caused by long-term sun exposure. His sturdy figure, which could be revealed even in the armor, made him look extremely strong, the strongest man in the kingdom. Gazv, the warrior leader of the kingdom, was staring at the front with a sharp gaze. Gazv had originally set out on his journey after receiving the order from the king. Someone has spotted an imperial knight at the border. If the witness testimony is true, go and attack immediately. When he received the news that the invaders appeared near the village of Qin, he immediately set out again. It was not the first time that the imperial knights had massacred a village in the kingdom. This morning, they had just arrived at a village that had been massacred and burned. Warrior leader at this time, the rider next to him, his adjutant, said, "Are those nobles interfering again?" Gazv could hear the anger in the adjutant's voice. They did not come from Arantel, they were troops from the capital. The imperial troops that were able to bypass Arantel and invade the kingdom must be elite. In the entire kingdom, only his soldiers could deal with the elite imperial troops. With this reason, Gazv rushed here with his soldiers. However, this was completely bullshit. The place they arrived in the morning was not too far from Arantel, but the massacre still happened. There was nothing wrong with letting his soldiers deal with the imperial knights. However, when the imperial knights were slaughtering the kingdom's citizens in the kingdom, before Gazv arrived, they did not send Arantel's soldiers to stop the massacre and completely left it alone. This reason was unacceptable to both Gazv and his adjutant. However, Gazv just sighed. This was a struggle between the royal faction and the noble faction, and the kingdom's citizens who died in vain were the victims of the struggle. This was not the territory of the local nobles, but the direct jurisdiction of the royal family. If something happened here, it would become material for the nobles to mock the royal family. Moreover, if he, a member of the royal faction, had any problems with the kingdom's soldiers, the nobles would be even happier. For this reason, Gazv's anger gradually calmed down. He had experienced this kind of thing before. He was not yet a warrior leader, and it had happened more than once or twice. He was already a little numb. However, at this moment, after the team's vision in front of him gradually widened, the scene in front of him made Gazv's eyes widen. When did such a tall tree appear in the top great forest? Not only Gazv, but also the adjutant and other people in the team, all looked at the black giant tree that broke through the clouds in the top great forest in astonishment. Chapter 505 Director, give me a chicken leg. Demiurge begins to interact with Inri in Karni village, and the kingdom warrior captain discovers the magic tree. On the other side, Qin Ren, Ainz, and Albedo have all returned to the Nazaric tomb. After Albedo leaves, Ainz breathes a sigh of relief. Albert, what should we do next? Unlike the majesty he displays in front of his subordinates, Ainz's tone at this time is quite ordinary, no different from that of a modern person. In short, we need to first understand the forces around Nazaric, at least to understand the situation of the kingdom of Re-Estes, the Baharu Empire, the Silent theocracy, and the Dwarf Kingdom. Ainz was a little confused when he heard these unfamiliar names. That's it. Qin Ren briefly explained the 4 countries around Nazaric. 4 countries? Ainz pondered for a moment. What level is the magic tree set at in this world? Although it is not common, there should be quite a few. Qin Ren explained, most human countries believe in the 4 great gods of wind, fire, water and earth, while the Silent theocracy has the gods of light and darkness, and believes in 6 great gods. Non-human countries, such as the Dwarf Kingdom, the Council Kingdom to the northwest of the kingdom, the Elf Kingdom to the southwest of the theocracy, and the Dragon Kingdom to the east of the theocracy. According to the information I have obtained, the theocracy is the most powerful country among human countries, and the Council Kingdom is the most powerful country among non-human races. Qin Ren explained the information he had obtained to Ainz. So, the most dangerous ones are the theocracy and the council? Ainz pondered, should we keep a low profile next? Yes, Qin Ren continued to induce, when we don't know the specific situation, it's better not to expose Nazaric. Moreover, we can't be sure if there are other players crossing over. Don't act in this identity now. As he said, he pointed to his head. Now we are in the middle of 3 human countries. You don't think it's better to act as a non-human race? Yes. Ains nodded, and the red light in his empty eye sockets flickered slightly. Do I need to act as a human in the future? Then I need to use illusions. Although he is completely specialized in the direction of the dead, and most of his skills are dead spirit skills, he has a unique skill, Dark Wisdom. In the game, the total number of skills that players can learn is limited. The total number of skills for players at the maximum level is 300, but it is not completely fixed. The total number of skills can be increased through Krypton Gold channels in special props and special skills. However, the total number of skills that can be increased by Krypton Gold is only 100. That is a total of 400, but Ains has more than 700, an extremely terrifying number of skills. The number of skills can be increased without limit, and the skill learning conditions can be ignored. The special skill Dark Wisdom possessed by Ains's race, the Ruler of Death, is such a skill. By sacrificing a living person or a corpse, there is a certain probability of getting an extra skill bar, and it is possible to directly learn the skills possessed by this corpse. It is also for this reason that Ains can learn almost all the skills of the system, such as detection, treatment, and defense. However, because he specialized in the necromancy system and became a relatively useless player of the dark skill system, after possessing Dark Wisdom, all the skills he learned were buff-type skills. According to different needs, he can stack more than 100 different skills, a living buff machine. Therefore, his role in team combat is still quite high. However, Dark Wisdom only ignores the learning conditions, but cannot ignore the use conditions, and cannot avoid the difference in attributes. For example, although he can learn skills of holy attributes and healing skills, due to racial reasons, the effect of holy healing skills will change. He can only heal the dead. If used on the living, it will not work or even have a counter effect on the living. But at least the mental magic skills such as illusion can be used normally. Maybe I need a set of armor and a helmet that covers the whole body, like Takemi. Ains said subconsciously. Takemi's is not a helmet, that's his head. He is an insect type. After saying that, he suddenly stopped. Sorry, Albert. After that incident, the gap between Takemi and Albert became even bigger, the kind that would make people dissatisfied just by mentioning it. But Qin Ren is not the real Albert, so he naturally doesn't care about these. Those are not important. Qin Ren's goat said with a weird smile on his face. Maybe you can wear a tights that show all the lines of your body, huh? Although he was a little surprised and happy that Albert no longer cared about Takemi, this suggestion was a little subtle. Ains remembered that when they were approaching an open area during the raid, everyone suddenly lowered their voices for some reason. After someone asked why out of boredom and answered because the view is wide, Albert said, yes, it's like opening a door in just a pair of underwear. Although it felt like something was wrong, it was probably that feeling. In short, you just need to cover your whole body so that others can see your true self. Ains opened and closed his mouth for a while and continued, then Albert, which country should we explore first? The kingdom or the empire? Of the 4 neighboring countries introduced by Qin Ren, Ains automatically ignored the strongest Silian theocracy and the dwarf kingdom. And the subject of his words, Ains didn't want to explore alone, and compared to NPCs, he would rather act with Albert and 2 players. But Qin Ren didn't want to. No, Ains, I have a plan. When we understand the situation, our purpose should not be just to understand the situation. We need to do something for the future. The future? Ains was a little confused. For example, you play a brave man who saves humanity from the devil, with his fingers intertwined and his sharp claws clasped together in front of his chest. Qin Ren's mouth curled up into a smile. And I will play a devil. The devil does bad things, and the brave man destroys the devil's plan and gains fame. In the original work, Ains, as the Dark Warrior Momo, and Demiurge, as the Demon King Abadavo, competed with each other in acting skills. Qin Ren has not forgotten the plot. And now, he is playing the demon god Izir and the Supreme Albert at the same time, and now he has to add another role. Isn't this interesting? Looking at Qin Ren's smile, for some reason, Ains always feels that something is wrong. but he can't put his finger on it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 506, Golden Princess 8 Fingers. The Kingdom of Riest. The capital of the Kingdom of Riest is Riest. Whether the kingdom is named after the city or the city is named after the kingdom is now unknown, and no one cares. The capital of this country, with a total population of 9 million people, this ancient city, has a daily life as dull as other peaceful cities. It is an old and lifeless city that never changes. Even in the center of the capital, in the palace where the king lives, it is extremely peaceful. The Palace of Francia. It can be roughly divided into 3 buildings. The largest one is the residence of the royal family. The lighting design is very perfect, dazzling, as if it is shining. In addition to the gorgeous decoration, there are also expensive lamps with magical perpetual light everywhere. Such a scene is almost non-existent in the eyes of ordinary people, but in the palace, it is also a daily life. The only person who can make this peaceful daily life seem a little more wonderful is the Golden Princess, Lana Teozaya Erdenlir Fansf, the sacred demeanor of a goddess descending from the earth, the long golden hair that seemed to shine with golden light, and the blue eyes that were like spotless gems. A noble among nobles, a princess among princesses, the most perfect woman. In this country, even those who know the deeper character of this princess cannot deny her beauty. How is it? Lagas, can you do it? The 8-finger drug farm. I didn't expect there was such a thing. A female voice sounded in the princess's room. The first sentence was the question of the Golden Princess, and the second sentence was the response of a girl wearing shining equipment. She looked about 20 years old, with the same golden hair color and blue eyes. If you don't investigate in detail, you might think she is the sister of the Golden Princess, but she is not. Lagas Eldendruaendora is a noble of the kingdom, but not a royal family. As a descendant of the 13 heroes, she is also a hero-level adventurer. She formed a fine steel-level adventurer team called Blue Rose, and there are many powerful people in the team. Unlike the names of people, the highest level of the adventurer team is the fine steel level. In other words, the adventurer team of this girl, Blue Rose, is the strongest adventurer team in this kingdom. And the fact that Lagas can sit in the princess's house and chat with her at the same table also shows their friendship. However, today, the two friends are not chatting as friends, but the Golden Princess is entrusting Blue Rose as a client to destroy the drug farm of 8 Fingers, an organization that is causing chaos in the kingdom. 8 Fingers, the name is taken from the subordinate god of the earth god, God of Thieves. This god of thieves has only 8 fingers, so it is also called 8 Fingers. This organization is a huge organization entrenched in the kingdom's underworld. There are 8 departments such as slave trading, assassination, smuggling, theft, drug manufacturing and trafficking, bodyguards, finance, and gambling. One of the reasons why this organization has a huge influence in the kingdom is that they have many nobles behind them. Even in a certain village, plants that can make drugs are blatantly planted in large quantities. However, within the kingdom, the voice of the local nobles gradually expanded, while the voice of the royal faction gradually shrank, and the royal family did not have enough power to sanction this organization. This is the situation of the entire royal faction, and the Golden Princess Lana herself does not have enough power. In this case, Lagas, the captain of the fine steel team and a heroic adventurer, became her weapon. Friends and weapons are not contradictory, right? Lagas did not have any special reaction to Lana's thoughts. Maybe she didn't know, maybe she knew but didn't care. No one could know these. When Lana asked gently for confirmation, Lagas nodded. We will set off immediately after we rest. As a friend of Lana, a noble of the kingdom, and a sense of justice in her heart, she wanted to set off immediately, but she was not alone after all, and she had to take care of other members. It was not a good choice for the Blue Rose team, which had just completed other commissions and returned to the capital, to set off immediately. Then I'll leave it to you. Princess Lana, who looked gentle and innocent, clenched her fists cutely. looking expectant. If someone didn't know her deeper personality, they would think she was cute, gentle and kind. Another girl who came to the palace with Laga's glanced at her expressionlessly, then lowered her head and continued to drink the liquid in the cup. At the same time, on the other side, a girl holding a parasol was wandering in the alleys of the capital. Minely Briseisen, this former crown magician of the clock tower, sacrificed herself to the Qin people as a sacrifice, became a part of the Qin people, and was reshaped by the Qin people into an unconscious aggregate of the demon race. The girl who restrained the power of Satan was distressed. What this girl with a long attributive was worried about was how to develop a church. Like the previous Henry, running around and turning anyone she met into a believer of Mr. Izir. Wouldn't this be too inefficient? Minely pondered as she walked. After turning a few corners along the passage, the alley began to feel dirty and a bit of stench was wafting. It was the stench of kitchen waste or excrement. As she walked forward in deep thought and thought about her plan, a seemingly heavy iron door on her left suddenly creaked and slowly opened. As the light from the house leaked out, a figure appeared at the door and threw out a large tattered cloth bag. The cloth bag fell to the ground, rolled twice, and rolled to the edge of her skirt. Almost subconsciously, the evil power lingering around her tried to crush this thing that was close to its owner. However, Minely came to her senses in time and stopped the action. Then, she cast her eyes on the large cloth bag on the ground. Her sight went straight through the cloth bag that was not transparent. In the cloth bag, there was a naked woman. The blue pupils were empty and weak, and the long light golden hair that was turbid and lightless and reached her shoulders was extremely messy. It seemed that her face was swollen like a ball after being beaten. The body was extremely thin, dry, and the skin was covered with countless reddish spots the size of fingernails. It could be said that she was almost dead. The tightly tied bag mouth also proved that she was treated as a corpse. However, she was not dead. Minely could see it. With just one glance, she obtained the other party's memory. I see. This is an underground brothel, and this girl named Qin has been used as a commodity since she was trafficked here until not long ago. She was almost dying because of the abuse of a fat pig client with a sadistic hobby. If Minely didn't care about her, she would die. Minely was naturally used to this situation. Skillfully, her voice rang in the girl's mind. Do you desire power? Do you want revenge? Chapter 507 McNally's Plan. I think. The resentment, anger, and hatred in Kara's tragic memories were instantly aroused by Minely's voice. Revenge. Such thoughts gradually spread to Kara's mind, which had become as broken as her body. Give your faith, everything you have, and the demon god Izir will give you the power of revenge. A huge black eye, like a symbol, wrapped in countless chains, appeared in her mind. As long as I can get revenge, it doesn't matter how much I give. Kara, who had nothing left, said this. At this moment, the terrifying boundless darkness instantly enveloped her and poured into her body. The body that was already broken and even difficult to raise its arms was instantly filled with terrifying power. The slender and dry body in the big rag bag was becoming plump and tall at a speed visible to the naked eye. Sharp claws appeared on her hands that were originally like dead branches. The evil power condensed into lines on her body. The skinny and broken body has become plump and graceful. The bruised face has become beautiful, and the messy blonde hair that was dull due to filth has now been dyed with an evil black color and has become dull. However, goat horns have grown on her head, her human legs have turned into hooves like cattle and sheep, and a pair of flesh wings have grown on her back. Demon, or call it a succubus, a typical female demon monster. However, rather than saying it is typical, it is better to say that among demon monsters, only succubus is female. No, there is also a six-armed snake demon. Other demons are not female, only male. The scene of Qi turning into a demon, tearing the cloth bag and rushing out of it was seen by the man standing behind the iron gate, and he couldn't help but widen his eyes. Evil, demon. After throwing out the bag containing Qi, he has been standing inside the door. The reason is Minely. After the law proposed by the Golden Princess to ban human trafficking, this store moved to this remote alley, where basically no women would appear. Such beautiful girls are even rarer. If such a beauty can be brought to the store before she is broken, it will definitely make business better. The only problem is that the woman is wearing gorgeous clothes. She might be a noble. This is why he didn't take action immediately. However, who could have thought that the broken thing he just threw out would turn into a demon? Monster. Just as the man tried to close the iron door and report the news to the upper level, a scream full of resentment rang out. There was no content in the scream. It was just a vent of anger that had been suppressed for a long time. A pair of sheep's hooves kicked hard on the ground, accompanied by the cracking of the stone slab. Chiali's body rushed towards the iron door, and the pair of sharp claws directly tore at the man's face. No, the short and strong man who looked like he was doing rough work and carrying work only had time to make a panicked sound, and the next moment, a blood light bloomed on his neck. The man's arms and head that he tried to block in front of him were cut off by the demonized Kyle. The next moment, Kyle rushed in and started killing. Minoli, who was standing at the door, just blinked. Well, she doesn't look like a succubus at all. If she likes fighting so much, she might as well be a six-armed snake demon. Minoli's mind showed the image of a demon with a human upper body, 6 arms, and a snake lower body. This Kyle was not a crude demonization, using evil power to infect the body and causing demonic features on the body, but was based on a succubus and given the ability of a succubus. But now, it is obvious that before completing her revenge, Kyle showed no connection with a succubus. It is better to say that she is a Bagula demon, a barbaric demon like a barbarian and a gorilla. However, speaking of it, Minoli reached out her hand and picked up the head of the man cut off by Chiali without hesitation, extracting the memory from the gradually disappearing soul. 8 fingers? That's not bad. Mr. Izir asked her to quickly develop the Devil's Church and create an image of a terrifying force. Before, Minoli had been troubled about how to quickly develop power, but now she has thought of a way. Wouldn't it be better to use the ready-made ones? For example, this 8 fingers. Wouldn't it be better to directly turn this organization into an organization that worships demons? I'm such a genius. Originally in the Type Moon world, although she had reached the level of a grand magician in academics, she was only studying academic issues such as demon inheritance, and had no idea about this kind of organization and power development. Therefore, she was really distressed about this problem. So, it doesn't matter if those dead fat pigs are killed, but you can't kill all the other 8-fingered employees. However, 6 arms, those people seem to say that it is some kind of fine steel level, which sounds quite strong, and it shouldn't die so quickly. But it seems that it can't last long. Thinking of this, Minoli screamed, threw away the head immediately, and rushed in. Don't kill them all, leave a few for me, my little cutie. At this moment, inside the store covered by the solid door, the news that the big iron door was torn apart by the demonized Chiali and broken was immediately passed on. Although the messenger was torn apart by Chiali shortly after sending the message was still passed on and reached the ears of 6 arms. However, only the group of people in charge of guarding knew the news. In this emergency situation, the person who delivered the message would not specifically notify the guests. And Stefan, the man who could not beat the slaves because of the Golden Princess proposal, the law prohibiting the sale of human beings and slavery in the kingdom, was preparing to leave. This fat man with a body full of fat, who didn't know how many hundreds of pounds, had a habit of abuse, and it was not an ordinary degree, not a general sense of abuse, but a beating. As a commodity, the owner would not allow the guests to treat the commodity like this, but this place was different. Those who are sent to this place are basically those who are about to break down or become mentally ill due to long-term use, and are basically scrapped. Therefore, they can be treated casually. In this case, Stefan only needs to pay a little more money to solve the problem. While calculating the money he needs to spend this time, Stefan walked towards the door. However, at this moment, a sharp shout sounded at the door. He hurriedly looked up and a face that made him feel somewhat familiar appeared in Stefan's eyes. Who is it? Stefan was a little stunned, but the next moment, the scream full of resentment and the waving claws made his brain filled with lard and desire sober up a little. However, it was too late. No, although he had a habit of sadism, Stefan, who was so cowardly that he didn't even dare to hit the elderly and only dared to bully the weak who had no ability to resist, screamed. However, Qin did not and would not agree to his begging for mercy. The scarlet claws cut Stefan into two pieces from top to bottom. The anger in Qi's eyes burned to the limit. It's not enough. Killing this one is not enough. Everyone who made me suffer this tragic fate must die. Chapter 508. Everyone's favorite bug girl is here. A week later, on the other side, night, a village surrounded by fences. This is a territory belonging to a noble far away from the capital. At this time, several people appeared outside the village. A dark elf girl wearing a small skirt and a girl wearing a strange gothic maid outfit. Standing outside the village, the maid asked the girl next to her, "Master Mare, what are we doing here?" When the maid's cute voice came out, her mouth kept smiling in an extremely strange way, without even opening and closing. Clearly, her mouth didn't move, but she could speak. In response, the girl replied, Listen to Demiurge, there are some good things planted here." With his pointed ears drooping, Mare looked into the village. Compared with other villages, this village seemed quite strange. If it was an ordinary village, even if there were fences and walls, the land and houses would not be enclosed together. In addition, there were people patrolling in this village. Along the edge of the parapet, there are buildings similar to watchtowers at intervals. Even if it is a human military outpost, Mare would not think there is anything wrong. According to Sebastian and Soluoxium, this is a place where an organization that believes in the devil, the eight limbs, grows crops. Mare, who is a little weak, said hesitantly, "An organization that believes in the devil, is it a devil?" The end of the words was sweet, like a little girl's habit. Entoma's cute little hand was holding a human arm, chewing it while asking. She chewed the arm not with her mouth, but with her chin. That beautiful face was like a mask. Mare did not have any special emotions for her actions, because Entoma was Spider-Man. That cute girl's face was not a real face, but a mimic insect, a bug with a pattern on its back similar to a human face. This sweet and cute voice was not her real voice, but the sound made after being specialized by the lip bug. Her real facial features were below the mimic insect. To eat, one must use the real mouth parts of a mimic insect, while chewing the broken muscle fibers. Entoma's cute voice rang out, "Master Mare, do you want to eat too?" But you can only give Master Mare a portion. Mare watched her eating and was thought to want to eat too. "Huh? No, I don't want to eat. I heard it's not delicious." Although Mare didn't feel anything strange about Entoma's cannibalism, after all, there were many races in the Great Tomb of Nazarick that ate humans, and he himself was not a human, so he didn't care about these things. However, he didn't eat human meat either. "After all, I heard from my sister that many of the magical beasts she raised said that human meat was not delicious at all, except for those particularly strong humans. Many human meat was soft and had much more fat than chicken. Many human meat is indeed not delicious." Entoma responded in a cute voice while chewing. She usually has no chance to eat people, and she doesn't like to eat people. Unlike Soluoxium, who has a tendency to ravage prey, Entoma will not hunt humans unless she is hungry. The reason she eats people is only because she is hungry or humans appear in front of her and disturb her. Eating people is no different from eating other things for Entoma. It is just eating. So when she is not disturbed and has eaten enough, she doesn't care about humans at all. Her attitude is basically not interested, not annoying, directly ignoring. Compared with humans, she prefers the little cockroaches in the horror house. Those snacks are much more delicious than humans. But now she is not in Nazarick, so she can only eat other things. While recalling the little cockroaches in the snack house, Entoma's mouth parts chewed the muscle fibers and sent them into his stomach. "But this one is different. There are a lot of muscles, is that so?" "But forget it." Listening to Entoma's description, Mare swallowed his saliva, but finally shook his head. "First, work first, otherwise Demiurge will scold you." Although he and Demiurge are both guardians, Demiurge is not only a guardian, but also the guardian officer of Nazarick. His status is only slightly lower than that of the guardian general Albedo. In addition, Demiurge is very smart, and Mare has no problem with Demiurge giving him orders. "Okay." Entoma made a cute voice, Then everyone come out and get ready to move things. The main reason why Entoma was called here was because of one of her professions, insect manipulator, a profession similar to Aura. Entoma can control and summon a large number of insects. It's not insects in biology, but bugs in a broad sense. Whether it's spiders, centipedes or anything else, as long as it fits the scope of bugs, she can control it. The heavy bass of flapping wings sounded from behind the two of them, and large and small, densely packed black shadows gradually emerged. Seeing her actions, Mary hurriedly stopped her and said, "No, that's not right, Entoma. We need to confirm the combat power of this village first." Demiurge said that the members of this Eight Fingers are very strong. In the village of Qin Ren, there is a demon priest named Inri. According to Demiurge's judgment, her level is about the same as Entoma, with a strength close to level 50. In a place like this, there might be stronger enemies, so Mare followed. He was actually sent here to protect Entoma. Yes, although Mare acted very weak, Entoma did not mean to be disrespectful. After all, the other party was a guardian. Immediately, she asked her insects to retreat. Everyone hide. Buzz buzz buzz. Pieces of black shadows disappeared quickly. Maybe they hid in the grass, maybe they burrowed into the ground, or maybe they were camouflaged. The dense sea of insects disappeared in an instant. We should conduct reconnaissance first. Send small insects with hidden actions to conduct reconnaissance. Mare clenched his cane and said to Entoma shiveringly, "Okay." After throwing away the hand bones that had been gnawed, the human face pattern on the back of the mimic insect on Entoma's face showed a cute smile. The next moment, from behind her, in the dark twilight, more than a dozen small insects that looked a bit like mosquitoes flew out and entered the village. At the same time, a team was gradually approaching the village. P.S. I like spiders, and I really like insect girls. Yigong along. Chapter 509. Kank Kyang Y arrives. This is a team of 5, a young warrior in shining equipment, carrying a huge sword on her back, and 6 floating swords around her, a petite girl in a red robe with a mask covering her face, with no weapons visible on her body, a muscular lady who looks like a man, carrying a heavy war hammer on her back. The remaining 2 are wearing ponytails, one wearing a mesh blue tights that covers her whole body, and the other wearing the same red. The 2 people who look exactly the same, according to common sense, are undoubtedly twins. The daggers tied to the thighs and waist are undoubtedly assassin-type professions. Blonde heaven, no mistake. This team is the Blue Rose. The young priest in shining equipment with a floating sword group is Lagaz. After receiving the princess's commission, she originally planned to set off immediately, but because of the problem of rest, she still waited for a day. Moreover, the journey is not short. Even if the first-level magic, floating board is used, it will take half a day. Moreover, before they set off, something happened. Something big seemed to have happened to the Eight Fingers in the capital, and all the forces affiliated with the Eight Fingers suddenly fell silent. Because of this incident, Lana called her to the palace again and told her to be cautious this time. Lagaz still took Lana's words very seriously, and after hearing her retelling, Evil Eye, the petite girl wearing the mask, made a serious suggestion. "I will go with you this time." Evil Eye is a magic chanter. Even though Lagaz is a heroic priest warrior, she also knows that her strength is only weak in front of Evil Eye. Destroy a country. This is the other party's title. From the title, you can understand how powerful the other party is. Under normal circumstances, in some tasks that are not very difficult, Evil Eye basically will not take action or even follow the team, but do other things. She originally joined the Blue Rose because she lost a bet with a former member of the Blue Rose. However, this time, because of Lana's words, she chose to follow the team actively. Lagaz was a little surprised and wondered if she had heard it wrong this time. Did Lana tell her to attack the Eight Fingers headquarters instead of attacking a small drug farm? Wait a minute, something is wrong. At this time, 2 girls who looked like assassins and stalkers spoke alternately. Are there monster bugs? It seems that a large number of bugs are passing by. The girl in the red tights was Tina, and the blue one was Tia. The 2 left the front of the team almost at the same time, one on the left and one on the right, and walked to the bushes next to them. A large number of bugs? Laga's tone was a little surprised. "Lift your feet, Qin." At this time, Tina followed the footprints and returned to the team, asking the sturdy sister to lift her feet. "Huh? Oh." The heavy tonnage Qin made way. Tina drew out her dagger, gestured on the ground, then stood up and said to everyone, "The feet of these bugs are bigger than those of Qin." What? Hearing this, even Laga's couldn't help but tremble. It goes without saying that Qin was big. In Laga's memory, even the strongest man couldn't be as strong as her. According to the proportion, it is bigger than Qin's feet, which means that this bug is at least twice as big as Qin. Such news made Laga's and Qin look at each other, but Evil Eye's eyes under the mask lit up. In the night, another footprint under Qin's footprint, a row of footprints extending to the side of the road, caught her eye. "It's a bug for sure," Evil Eye whispered. A dull female voice came from under the mask. "A magic caster of magic power. She has many original magics, including insect-killing magic, insect killer, a magic that is specifically used to deal with insect monsters." The fact that she can create such magic shows that she knows a lot about insect monsters. She raised her head and followed the insect's footprints, heading to the village. Evil Eye concluded. "Village? 8 Fingers Poison Farm?" According to the information Lana gave and the information they found themselves, there is only one village nearby, and that is 8 Fingers Poison Farm. "Is it a monster raised by 8 fingers?" Qin asked. "It's very likely." Tia returned to Tina's vicinity, and the twins said at the same time, "But it's not mentioned in the information given by the princess." "Not mentioned? Then what is it?" Laga's looked puzzled. "We'll know when we go there," Evil Eye whispered. Everyone looked at each other and nodded. In the twilight, the 5 people quickly moved towards the small village surrounded by the protective wall. At this moment, in the village, Entoma was watching the scene in the village with a curious look. "Lord Mayor." Entoma's chin was drooling. "I'm hungry." Compared with humans, demons seemed to taste better. In front of her, a group of sturdy men, the guards of this village, were undergoing strange changes. Thick horns, sharp claws, and thick hooves. This group of humans are becoming demonized. And the reason for their demonization is that they ate those crops, items that can turn humans into demons. When the scout bugs were sent out for reconnaissance before, no demons were seen in the village, only a group of humans. But now, after confirming that the strength of this group of people is not strong, Entoma went directly into the village and prepared to kill these people directly, leaving only a few torture messages. But this group of people suddenly ate the crops. Then they turned into demons. "If humans eat more, won't there be a lot more food, Master Mayor?" "Ah, I haven't eaten yet." So confused, so confused. As she spoke, Entoma seemed to remember something, and gently hit her head, stretched the food in her right hand to her chin, and put it into her mouth parts. It was a calf, a female calf. Although it is better to eat food with more developed muscles when losing weight, as expected, women's tender meat with fat is more fragrant. With a rustling sound, Entoma's mouth parts gnawed the calf meat. And beside her, the dark elf boy who looked like a girl, Mare, shrank his neck timidly. Entoma, if you have confirmed it, just do it quickly. The scheduled time is almost up." As he spoke, he raised the long staff in his hand. Chapter 510 Kangqiangwei vs. Entoma. When the people of Kangqiangwei arrived, they saw countless monsters lying on the ground with their bodies torn to pieces, being eaten by huge insects. The giant insects were gnawing at the corpses of these monsters with a heavy bass flapping sound. "I say, Lagas, these things should be the so-called demons, right?" Outside the village, looking at the corpses lying on the ground in the burning village, Qin asked. Those corpses were undoubtedly the so-called demons. However, these demons were being eaten by a group of monsters. "Is this a war between monsters for territory?" Tia and Tina's voices rang out. They also thought it was incredible that such a scene happened in a human village. And, it seemed that no humans were seen. There was no human in their field of vision. No, there was a girl in a strange maid outfit and a dark elf girl. With their keen vision, the two saw 2 humanoid creatures that seemed a bit abrupt in this village full of corpses and giant insects. As for Mare and Entoma, they had already discovered the appearance of the blue roses. However, their mission had been completed. Now, They only needed to follow Demiurge's orders and transport the crops back to Nazarick for research. The giant insects harvested the crops, fluttered their wings, and disappeared into the night. They were going to move these things to a temporary warehouse. After confirming that no one was following them, someone from Nazarick came to help with the transfer. However, no witnesses could be left behind. At this moment, Mare and Entoma had already made the decision to kill these 5 people. No, 4 people, and a vampire. Mare's eyes paused on the mask on Evil Eye's face. However, what they didn't expect was that the other party actually walked towards them. Who are you? Did you kill these monsters? Where are the humans here? Laguz looked at Mare and Entoma and asked, this is something that cannot be said. Mare replied hesitantly, it cannot be said. People, humans, it's all here. Mare pointed his wooden staff at the ground, at the corpses of the demons. Huh? How could these be humans? Gagarin pulled out his warhammer from behind, obviously not trusting what he said. Dark Elf sister, I advise you to tell the truth. Also, Gagarin's eyes swept over Entoma's wide sleeves. The other party's hands seemed to be pressed on the chin, trembling slightly, as if feeding something. Maid, what are you eating with relish? Meat. Entoma seemed not to notice the other party's gradually cold tone, and answered, meat? What meat? Demons? Laguz, whose face was also a little abnormal, pulled out a pitch-black giant sword from behind. Human meat. It hasn't turned into a demon yet. These are not things that cannot be answered, and Entoma also answered honestly, haven't they turned into demons yet? Evil Eye's eyes swept over the corpses on the ground, and then glanced at the giant insects that ignored their existence and were harvesting crops. Did the demons here turn into demons after eating those things? Yes, Entoma's cute voice sounded. Did you kill these demons? Tia and Tino also spoke up. We wanted to take these, but they wouldn't let us, so we had to kill them. Entoma threw away the bones. They had been gnawed clean of flesh and blood, and a cute burp sounded, and a strong smell of blood spread. Her answer and the strong smell of blood made Laguz's face change again and again. The news she got from Lana was nothing like this. If the answer of this monster maid is true, it means that this so-called drug farm is just a cover, and in fact, this is a place for a magic caster to experiment. These demons, these crops that turn into demons after eating, are the materials for the experiment. The facts that emerged in Laguz and Evil Eye's minds made both of them stunned. However, although the other party's answer seemed to be true, at least, the other party was hostile to these demons wearing human leather armor and holding human weapons. But, are the other words true? Neither of them was sure, but there was no doubt that this maid who looked like a human was also not a normal thing, but a monster. Evil Eye's eyes swept across the giant insects around, across Mare, and finally returned to Entoma. Can you please surrender? Her hands were lingering with magic. If such a monster cannot be captured obediently, then it cannot be released, and it can only be destroyed on the spot. Although these giant insects look terrifying and seem to be very powerful, for Evil Eye, as long as they are insects, they are the same. Insect extermination magic, ready. Eh? Lord Mare, what does she mean by that? Evil Eye's action made Entoma tilt his head. It means to capture and torture. Mare shrank his body and whispered, if you want to run, you have to kill it. Mare's weak performance made Blue Rose and others relax their vigilance. However, Lord Mare, Lord Superior, Entoma's address made them alert again. After hearing Mare's explanation, Entoma waved his hands in a cute gesture, his long sleeves swaying. I say, can we pretend that we didn't see each other? We are here to work, and it will be troublesome to deal with you. The most important thing is that you will die. Entoma issued a death warning in a sweet voice. That's really terrible. Gagarin clenched his warhammer with both hands. I'm sorry, I am one of the best adventurers in the kingdom after all. I can't let you go just because I see a man-eating monster. Besides, I will be troubled if you stay in the human world. In a masculine tone, Gagarin's muscles that were not covered by armor bulged. The twin assassins also raised their daggers, and their figures were gradually shrouded in shadows. The dark sword in Laguz's hand also shone brightly. There is no doubt that the behavior of the Blue Rose people is hostile. Then I can only kill you. Mare shrank back and raised his longstaff. But at this moment, a voice rang out, oh, I didn't expect that I could see such a good show just by strolling out. Along with the voice, a demon with a goat head, a mask covering the right face, and wearing a black and red dress appeared in front of everyone. It was Qin Ren who appeared. Chapter 511. Press F to enter the tank. You, Lord Albert. Mare spoke subconsciously when he found the person coming, but halfway through his shout, he suddenly remembered something and lowered his voice. Entoma also noticed Mare's voice. She was about to attack the Blue Rose people, and her mouthparts trembled, making a low humming sound. It was not the cute and sweet girl's voice made by the lip bug, but a trembling sound like the sound of insects. Lord Albert, even without a systematic translation, Qin Ren could now directly capture Entoma's thoughts and understand the meaning. After nodding to the two, Qin Ren came in front of the two, looked at the Blue Rose people, and smiled. If you choose to stop, it will be the right choice. If only Entoma was there, this group of people should be able to win. The strongest person in the Blue Rose team is the wife of the Bone King. Evil Eye. Qin Ren remembered that in the side story, when the Bone King did not bring Nazarick Great Tomb with him, but traveled alone, this Evil Eye was the heroine. It seems that the race level, the vampire princess and the vampire, etc., add up to about 20 levels, and the occupation level seems to be level 5, which is about 30 levels. The total level is more than 50 levels. And because of the insect extermination magic, the insect girl, who is also only about 50 levels, can never beat her. But Mare is also there. Mare is a job level 100. The three races of elves, dwarves and humans do not have race levels. Unlike other NPCs who have race levels, Mare and Aura are both NPCs who rely entirely on their job levels to reach level 100. Although this does not mean that they are stronger than other NPCs with race levels of 100, it is also easy to deal with everyone present. Evil Eye is just a younger brother or sister in front of him. However, without any direct battle, and without feeling how powerful Qin Ren, Mare, and Entoma were, in this world where adamantium grade was considered the top level by most people, they did not regard the three as strong people who were far stronger than themselves. Knowledge determines whether it is stupid or not. With limited knowledge and limited vision, the most smart judgment that can be made is also limited. However, the other party's calm attitude also made the people of Blue Rose cautious. Lagas, can you judge the strength of the other party? Evil Eye silently prepared magic, and at the same time whispered to Lagas beside her. I can't judge. Lagas's blue eyes exuded a faint light like moonlight, as if she was observing something, but in the end she still couldn't come to a conclusion. Is it true? Evil Eye also tried to use magic to judge the strength of the other party, but the result was the same, as if it was blocked by something. Is there a proper ability to block detection magic? Evil Eye came to this conclusion. But, just like what Gagrin said, no matter what, we can't let the man-eating monster go. Tia and Tina clenched their daggers and whispered, that's right, if we let the man-eating monster go, who knows how many tragedies will happen later. As if responding, Gagrin raised the piercing hammer with a spike on the top of his hand and attacked Qin Ren. When Gagrin raised the hammer and smashed it towards him, Qin Ren was a little confused for a moment. He just appeared and said a total of one sentence. Why did he hit him directly on the head? But forget it, it's just right to play with it. Mare, Entoma, you guys step back, don't do anything. Fun toys can't be broken so quickly. After giving orders to Mare and Entoma, facing the huge hammer that Gagrin smashed, Qin Ren took a step forward and raised his left hand like a claw. I'm really surprised. Demons can actually protect their companions? In Gagrin's eyes, Qin Ren's actions were directly classified as covering his companions to retreat. The next moment, Gagrin's piercing hammer collided with Qin Ren's left hand. What was heard was not the sound of steel crushing flesh and blood, but the crisp sound of hard objects colliding with each other. I'm sorry, your strength seems a little weak. Needless to say, the strength of Qin Ren, the embodiment of will, is B level, a national level force. Even if someone pours the power that can destroy an entire country into Qin Ren can block it with just strength. Even if it's not Qin Ren himself, it would be easy to deal with this attack based on Albert's racial value. Even if he is a wizard, his race is at least the highest level demon. and his power is even stronger than that of the undead lycaons. Of course, Gagrin didn't know what Qin Ren was thinking. After a moment of surprise, she launched another attack. I only blocked one attack. Don't underestimate me. After pushing the piercing hammer forward with force, she roared and raised the hammer again. Her muscular thighs stepped firmly on the ground, as if the turret was fixed on the ground. With a strong power lingering on her body, the hammer in Gagrin's hand blasted out like a raging wind and waves. Gagrin actually used martial arts. With Gagrin's power, even the ogre can't stop it. Unless you use the martial arts Unfallen Fortress, it's impossible to resist it. Tia and Tina, who were alert and on guard against Tentoma and Marin ready to help at any time, were shocked when they saw the power shrouded in Gagrin. Although not as strong as the captain and Evil Eye, as a warrior, Gagrin can be said to be the best in this kingdom. Even the warrior leader could not resist Gagrin's attack. No matter how strong this demon is, it is impossible to resist it. The two made a judgment in their hearts. Boom 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 boom! Exclamation mark! The loud noises of the hammers hitting each other continuously rang out. However, the result made the four people stunned. After the continuous shaking sounds, the demon in strange clothes stood there unscathed. Question mark! Resisted the attack of Gagrin just by relying on muscle strength? Laguz and Evil Eye, who watched all this and waited for the opportunity to launch attacks and rescue, did not notice any magic or props being used. But how is this possible? With this body size, looks thin, but is it a monster of strength? Gagrin's face showed a shocked expression. In response, Qin Ren just smiled. Don't be so surprised. I haven't used my skills yet. The moment the voice fell, Qin Ren raised his right hand and used Albert's skill, Demon Aspects, Giant Demon Arm. P.S. I didn't expect you to like tanks. Unbelievable, unbelievable, but this is not a phantom tank, but a rhino. No, an apocalypse tank, right? Chapter 512 Lord Yabadawa? Question mark. Although Albert is a magic-specialized wizard with all kinds of skills from Luden, it does not mean that Albert only has wizard skills. The series of skills Demon Aspects are unique to the demon race, and can be said to be racial skills. And this series of skills is not a powerful skill, it is just a simple physical strengthening skill, and it is not a comprehensive strengthening, but only a single part. And Demon Aspects, Giant Arm is a single strengthening of the arm. However, this single strengthening, if it is some lower level demons, it will only make the arm slightly thicker by 1 centimeter. But for demons of the level of Demiurge Albert, Qin Ren's arm suddenly expanded several times, both in thickness and length. The giant arm that can directly touch the ground and is comparable to the body of a girl slowly raised up, with an inexplicable sense of elegance. Boom! When the giant arm touched the warhammer, Gagrin realized that this giant arm was not swollen with air, but a weapon with strong bones and muscles like steel. Unimaginable force came from the warhammer. When the sound of the warhammer breaking came from the front, Gagrin's vision became dark. This strong impact directly blasted her out. With a strong sense of vibration, Gagrin, whose vision was dim, rolled dozens of meters on the ground. No one in Kangkyangwai expected such a situation, but when Gagrin flew out, they had already taken action. Tia appeared beside Gagrin in an instant, trying to help her reduce the impact. Tina shot a dagger at Qin Ren to interfere with Qin Ren's possible pursuit. Laguz also rushed to Gagrin's side, ready to use quick treatment to simply treat the injury. And Evil Eye directly used magic, maximize magic shard buckshot, magic maximization crystal shot. Countless fist-sized crystal fragments flew towards Qin Ren. Don't worry, kid. I don't want to kill her. When Qin Ren was about to say this, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Qin Ren. With a light wave of his hand, countless crystal fragments were instantly shattered by the other party, and the dagger shot by Tina was easily caught by the other party. Forgive my ignorance. I think it is more important to find the lost props at this time. It was also a demon with a strange green mask on his face. A long silver tail with spikes behind him was gently swaying, and black flames lingered on the ground. The other party was wearing a strange costume called suit that appeared in the southern country, similar to the sheep-headed demon. However, Evil Eye was trembling at this moment. Horror, horror, as if the body was directly touched by the magic of thunder attribute. The fear spread throughout the body in an instant, and cold sweat instantly oozes out of the palms and back. From this demon who behaved as a subordinate, Evil Eye felt the extreme terror. The terrifying aura emanating from the other party made her think of the Platinum Dragon King. Moreover, the aura emanating from the other party was disgusting and extremely evil. Even the demon god that appeared 100 years ago could not match it. When she was shocked by the fear emanating from the other party, Evil Eye suddenly thought of a question. This masked demon called himself subordinate. So, this goat-headed demon was the superior? Evil Eye suddenly remembered that it seemed that from the beginning, from the moment the other party appeared, she did not feel the breath of this goat-headed demon, but only caught the other party's existence with her sight. Run away, Evil Eye whispered, as if they did not hear her voice clearly. Laguz and Tia turned their heads to look at her. Idiot! Don't look at me! Without turning her head, Evil Eye's face covered by the mask was filled with fear. She kept looking in the direction of the two demons and continued to whisper in a trembling voice, "Shut up and listen to me. The masked one is too strong, he is a monster among monsters, and the demon with a goat's head may be even stronger. Run away, don't look back, run away, run away." Fear and anxiety enveloped her heart. The fear that spread from head to toe made Evil Eye's voice even stutter. "What are you going to do?" Evil Eye's performance was something that no one had ever seen, but they also understood the seriousness of the matter. Laguz also asked in a low voice, "Don't worry about me. I will try my best to buy time, and then I will use teleportation magic to escape." The whispers of the people in Kangkyangwai were no different from talking in his ears at this distance. Qin Ren could hear them clearly, but now he was more concerned about another thing. What props? What props were lost? Qin Ren came here to stroll around as he pleased, and Demiurge's words were somewhat baffling. However, at this moment, Qin Ren remembered the plot in the original novel, where Demiurge played the role of the demon king Jaldabaoth and acted opposite hands. It seemed that when acting, he used the excuse of lost demon summoning tool to fool people. "Oh, are you talking about that?" Qin Ren also acted very cooperatively, but isn't the problem obvious? It can grow herbs that can transform various creatures into demons. The lost thing was obviously taken by 8 fingers. Hearing this, the masked demon, that is, Demiurge, looked at Qin Ren with a slight pause, and then seemed to understand something, and his eyes flashed, and then his tone was the same as before, without any change. "That's right, Lord Jaldabaoth. Because of this reason, we need to surround the capital immediately to prevent 8 fingers from transferring the tool." "Wait a minute, Lord Jaldabaoth, isn't this your role?" Qin Ren was somewhat stunned. "No way." Although he and Danes had said that he wanted to play the role of a devil and a bad character, he had no intention of using a name like Jaldabaoth, because Jaldabaoth, or Yaldabaoth, was no stranger to the desert culture fanatic Qin Ren. The existence of various demons in Christianity was the result of Christianity stigmatizing the gods and the myths and legends of other countries and nations and writing them as evil gods. Yaldabaoth means false god, son of chaos and betrayer. Christianity merged this image with the gods of other countries and nations. It was the prototype of many demons in Solomon's 72 demons. The lion head and wheel were the images of this demon. However, Demiurge, or Demiurge, was the name of the creator god and craftsman god in the ancient Roman Mithraism. It meant creator. In Gnosticism, its image was also a lion-headed man. Its name was also mentioned in Plato's works. That's how Demiurge got his title creator of the Inferno. In other words, Jaldabaoth can be said to be another name for Demiurge. However, Demiurge used this name for himself. "You might as well call me Baphomet. After all, I have a sheep's head." The keen people rolled their eyes. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 513. Your magic is great, but it will be mine in the next second. In the eyes of the blue roses, the attitude of the two people talking without caring about their existence was not incredible. This attitude only showed one thing: the two people did not regard them as a threat. The difference in strength was too great. and the other party did not regard them as enemies at all, and did not regard them as a threat at all. Run away. Facing the masked demon that exuded a breath that made her feel genuinely scared, and the goat-headed demon that could not feel any presence except visually, Evil Eye squeezed out the last words of urging, "Let's go." Hearing her tone that was completely different from usual, Laguz opened her mouth and finally spoke. Shadows emerged from the bodies of Tia and Tina, and they were about to leave through the shadows with the severely injured Gagrin. Laguz also chanted the magic of faith to buff the Blue Rose's members. "Don't ignore my existence." Looking at the people of Kangkyangwai who started to run away, Qin Ren shook his arm, and the thick and huge arm instantly returned to its original shape. Then, he raised his hand and slowly aimed it at the others who were about to run away. "I won't let you succeed." Although her heart was filled with fear, Evil Eye, who consciously took on the task of covering the retreat, naturally would not let Qin Ren do it. Penetrator Maximize Magic Buckshot. Magic Resistance Breakthrough Maximum Strength and Crystal Shot. The same magic as before, but compared to the previous crystal fragments, the magic crystal released this time has a sharper tip and a sharp magic power attached to the front. She did not forget that the attack just now was easily blocked by the masked demon with its claws, so she added a penetration effect to the magic. Seeing countless head-sized crystal fragments flying at him, Qin Ren raised his lips, and a phantom like a book appeared on his right hand. "Your magic is very good, but now it belongs to me." As the pages of the book turned, countless dark crystals emerged from the book in Qin Ren's hand. The most enhanced magic resistance breakthrough. Crystal Shot. Using the power of the Mirror Demon Antalin Duke of Mirror and the power chanting spellbook obtained from the Marquis of Valban and the Christian demon Baphomet, and integrating the prophetic power of demons such as Hual, the skill of growth is completed when he is promoted to A level and completely transformed into a demon. Demon Script. Whether it is a skill, magic or a phenomenon, as long as Qin Ren observes it, it will be recorded in the demon script, and as long as he consumes mana, he can reproduce it countless times. Even though Qin Ren suppressed the power of his own skills to only level 100, or C rank, in order to play the role of Ulbert, the crystal scattershot released by Qin Ren was slightly larger than the fist-sized crystal fragments released by Evil Eye. Evil Eye's eyes widened under the mask. She could recognize that this magic was the same as the magic she used, both of which were crystal scattershots with the magic resistance breakthrough maximum enhancement attached. However, these black crystals that were larger than her body did not look like 4th level magic at all. 5th level magic? No, she herself was a 5th level magic caster. Crystal scattershot was a 3rd level magic. After adding magic resistance breakthrough maximum enhancement, it reached the power of the 4th level. Even if it was added with magic maximum enhancement to increase the power to the 5th level, it would not be so huge. 6th level, 7th level. With wide eyes, Evil Eye just watched the crystal scattershot she released collide with the huge black crystal and then shattered. After crushing the crystal shotgun, the crystal shotgun released by Qin Ren continued to move forward in a straight line, bombarding Evil Eye. Dozens of huge black crystals completely covered the area within 100 meters, blocking all the places where Evil Eye could move. Unless she could leave this area instantly, she could only resist. Although she was afraid, Evil Eye was still able to make a judgment. She also understood that her escape route was completely blocked. The magic power in her body surged and flowed around her. Translocation damage. Slightly adjusting her body shape, Evil Eye moved her body to the edge of a giant crystal landing point. Since she couldn't hide, she would minimize the damage she received. Boom, 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 boom. Accompanied by countless booming sounds, the huge black crystals smashed on the ground, leaving pits on the ground. Evil Eye was also hit by the crystals, but she was not hurt. Damage transfer is a magic that can convert physical damage into magic damage. Even though she had been prepared, the damage to her magic power still shocked Evil Eye. Nearly half of her magic power was lost. Such horrible damage. Even the attack of the demon god she encountered 100 years ago was not so exaggerated. It must be as strong as the Platinum Dragon King. Evil Eye came to a conclusion in her heart. Even though she had thought as high as possible before, the damage still exceeded her imagination. A high-level demon? No, It might even surpass the demon god. Could it be the demon king? Unlike the human race, which calls itself the king even though it is weak in ability, among the non-human races, only the stronger ones can have the title of king, and the royal family is the strongest clan in this race. While Evil Eye and the Qin were fighting hard, Demiurge silently retracted the racial skill devil's aspects, sharp claws that he had just used to block the Qin's attack, and retracted the nearly 1 meter long claws. Demiurge, don't we have to do it? We can't disturb Lord Olbert's plan. Demiurge subconsciously raised his glasses, and after his fingers touched the mask, he retracted them. Plan? Mare blinked, and confusion appeared on his weak face. And Toma on the side also tilted his head cutely. Listening to the two people's questions, Demiurge put his hands behind his back, and a smile appeared on his face under the mask. Mare, let me ask you, what is Sebastian doing in the capital? Sebastian? Mare was stunned. It seems that Sebastian was sent by Ain't Sama to the capital of the Kingdom of Restes, together with Saluoxian. Saluoxian is acting as a family member of a wealthy merchant, while Sebastian is acting as a butler to conduct investigations, with the focus on understanding the difference between the magic of this world and the magic of Nazaric. Magic? Mare said as if he had realized something. That's right. Demiurge looked at the battle between Qin Ren and Evil Eye. We didn't know before that Lord Albert actually has the means to directly copy magic. In other words, Lord Albert is fighting this weak vampire in order to master the magic of this world. This is just one of the plans. Chapter 514. Human imagination has its limits. That's right. Lord Albert has no intention of killing the others, but letting them go. This is a test of the 8 fingers and the hidden forces in the kingdom. Resisting the urge to raise his glasses, Demiurge looked at the Blue Rose people who had already run some distance, and continued. When this team of adventurers returns to the capital and encounters a powerful demon attacking this village, it will definitely attract the attention of other forces. Under the mask, Demiurge's diamond-like compound eyes flashed with brilliance. 8 fingers can create demon priests of the level of Enri in Khan village, and also awaken the demon tree destruction the Dragon King in the top forest. Its strength should not be underestimated. However, according to the investigation of Sebastian and Saluoxian, 8 Fingers looks like just an underground organization running various underground businesses. Even if there is the so-called 6 arms, according to the kingdom's information, it is only less than a hero-level strength. There is no information about demons in the 8 Fingers information. There is no doubt that the image of the 8 Fingers organization is a disguise. Demiurge raised his fingers slightly, then pressed them down, and after suppressing the action of raising his glasses again, he continued, "What is the intention of this organization? We don't know, but according to Lord Ames's plan, we need to hide our existence and not confront the hidden power of 8 Fingers head-on. Then, for this purpose, we need to use other methods to find out the true power of 8 Fingers." Hearing this, even if Mare was stupid, he could understand what he meant, not to mention that he was not stupid. Through this team of adventurers, spread the news that 8 Fingers has obtained a powerful item, expose 8 Fingers, and attract the attention of other forces. The lost item that Demiurge and Lord Albert talked about just now should be this. Yes, this is Albert's plan to find out the true strength of 8 Fingers without a direct confrontation. Demiurge clenched his right hand, as if he had glimpsed a corner of the abyss. After I said the words lost item, Albert Sama cooperated, and I did not mention my plan to anyone. This was just a temporary decision. Obviously, Albert and Ain't Sama have already made a similar, no, more detailed and far-reaching plan. No, you are worthy of being the Supreme One. You have prepared such a detailed plan. Listening to Demiurge's imagination, Mare couldn't help but sigh at the infinite wisdom of the Supreme Ones that was like the abyss. I hope my foolish decision will not interfere with the implementation of Albert Sama's plan. After a while of imagination, thinking that the Qin people's plan had a deeper and longer-term purpose that he didn't know, Demiurge began to worry whether his self-righteous behavior would interfere with the plan or even have a counterproductive effect. Qin Ren didn't know what Demiurge was thinking. He didn't try to understand Demiurge's thoughts, nor did he want to understand Demiurge's thoughts. If he really knew, he would only answer, I don't have it. The reason for coming to the Eight Fingers drug farm was simple, because Antoma and Mare were here. He just came to see the situation and find an opportunity to make them meet with Minely. Unlike when he racked his brains to arrange a plan to deal with the inhibitory force in the Type Moon world, there was no strong person in this world who needed him to take real action. Therefore, he was completely in the mood of traveling and having fun, and he played whatever he thought was fun. It's not that he can't do a brain-burning plan, but he doesn't want to do it. Using the demon god script to copy Evil Eye's magic was just for fun. To be honest, even the various skills of Nazarick, the origin magic of this world, and so on, are nothing to him. Even if it's stronger, can it be stronger than the attack he made in the Type Moon world that smashed through a quarter of the earth with one blow? Even the power he had when he was in the Type Moon era, he doesn't care about it now. With the overflowing yellow sand gold coins and vouchers, if he wants, he can be promoted to S rank at any time, and destroy a planet like the Earth with one blow. There is no problem. In this case, the only ones he can look up to and who are stronger than him as the incarnation of will are the group of demons in the world of Magical Index, or the group of wallhangers in Dragon Ball. In this world, what to do for what? For Qin Ren now, there can only be one answer: for fun. Damage transfer. If he gets this skill, Ains should be able to become very tanky. This is what Qin Ren thought when he saw this skill. The MP bar of the wizard profession is much longer than that of ordinary players, and Krypton Gold players have more blue bars than ordinary wizards. According to the setting, if a person has 100 MP, the magic cost of rank 1 is 1 point, and the magic cost of rank 10 is 10 points. Then, generally speaking, the MP amount is level x10. For an average player at level 100, it is 1000, and for a wizard at level 100, the MP is about 1300. Albert's mana bar is more than 1400, Ains's mana bar is more than 1900, close to 2000. If it is a rank 10 magic, Ains can release nearly 200. Of course, in actual combat, it is necessary to use super magic skills such as Short Enchant, which is instantaneous, Magic Enhancement, which is strong, and Extreme, silent, and fixed effects. The magic penetration of magic resistance breakthrough is also a super magic skill. Using these things also requires additional mana consumption, so the amount of magic that can be released in actual combat must be at least halved. In this situation, the amount of mana is very important. After a short break, Qin Ren's attention was focused on Evil Eye again, and he continued to tease her. At the same time, on the other side, not far from Khan Village, 400 meters in the sky, two magic casters were using flying magic to drag the two people on the floating board towards Irantil. One was a man wearing full black armor, and the other was a beautiful woman with a ponytail. The person wearing black armor was Ains. Before, Qin Ren suggested that he change his name and surname to Dark Warrior Momo like in the original book. Ains, who had a similar idea, did not refuse. Even without magic, Ains, who was much stronger than the natives of this world by strength, easily gained fame in a short time. However, compared with the original book, because of the butterfly effect, he did not choose Irantil as the novice village at first. Now, he is planning to go to Irantil. P.S. There is a limit to human imagination, so. Chapter 515 The Eight Desire Kings. Mr. Momo, we will reach Irantil in a few hours. As the person guiding the direction and towing the floating board, this magic caster who looked to be in his 40s smiled at Ains. Before, when he was carrying out the commissioned mission, he was too arrogant and thought that he was a third-level magic caster. He formed a 3-person team with 2 melee guards and thought that it would be easy to destroy a group of ogres with this combat power. However, who knew there were not only ogres in the group of monsters, but also other monsters. The other 2 were killed by the monsters in this situation, and he was in danger despite his tenacious resistance. He was a little desperate, but at this time, Mr. Momo and Miss Nabe appeared and saved him. Now, he was going to return to Irantil to settle the mission, so he took the 2 with him. However, at this time, he heard Mr. Momo's voice. Hot, there seems to be something going on down there. Hearing this, Hot was stunned and turned his eyes downward. In his field of vision, A small village a distance away in the northwest was burning with a raging fire. Fire? Hoth muttered to himself with a hint of doubt. No, that's the light of magic. Nabe, who was sitting on another floating board beside Ains, said. It does seem to be magic. Hoth looked at the place Ains mentioned, his tone lacking confidence. It was dark at night and due to the distance, he could hardly tell the source of the light. Anyway, let's go and take a look. Ains's voice came from under his armor. In fact, a voice rang in his ears. Hey, Ains, are you there yet? If you don't come soon, I'll kill your girlfriend. Not yet? Do you really not want your vampire girlfriend? I'm serious. If you don't come soon, I'll really do it. The chance to save the beauty is almost gone. If Ains hadn't become an undead and had no flesh on his face would definitely be full of black lines at this time. What is Ulbert doing? Vampires? Shoutir? What happened to Shoutir? Of course he didn't have a girlfriend. The only vampire he could think of was Shoutir, and the one Ulbert called his girlfriend was probably Shoutir. Ains was deeply impressed by Shoutir's necrophilia. Although he didn't know if it was Shoutir or what happened, he had better hurry over. I'm here, I'm here. Ains quickly responded to Ulbert, and then landed with Hoth on the floating board. He couldn't use magic, but after getting closer, he finally saw what was going on. Ulbert was using skills that didn't exist in Jerusalem to fight a petite girl wearing a mask. Under the bombardment of his skills, the girl was struggling to dodge. This girl was not an NPC from Nazarick, and even less was she Shoutir. After a quick look, Ains was sure that the girl was not a member of Nazarick, and he immediately lost his concern. However, when his eyes passed over the people behind Ulbert, he was stunned. Edema and Merdemir are here too. Are they planning something? Ains thought in confusion. However, at this time, he remembered something that happened before. Ulbert had said that he would play the role of a hero and Albert would play the role of a devil. Do you want me to save people? Okay. At this moment, Evil Eye was struggling to avoid her magic. She was afraid. Even if the other party was casting magic, she could not feel any breath of the other party at all, as if the other party did not exist at all. This strange situation frightened her more than the sickening malice of the masked demon standing aside. Moreover, no matter whether it was insecticide magic or any other magic, no matter what magic she used, the other party could use an enhanced version in the first time, and the source was the illusory book in the other party's hand. This situation made her think of one thing: the 8 Desire Kings. According to legend, the 8 Desire Kings who once ruled the world still have a city in the southern desert. It was the capital of the 8 Desire Kings when they ruled the world. It is said that the 8 Desire Kings have countless powerful props. Among them, the most powerful prop that all magic casters flock to is the nameless spell book. According to legend, this book records all the magic in the world, even newly invented magic, which will be recorded immediately. Even though she has lived for 250 years, Evil Eye is still skeptical about the 8 Desire Kings who existed 500 years ago. She knows about the existence of the Platinum Dragon King and the Rotten Coffin Dragon King who destroyed her country, but she finds it hard to imagine that with these powerful Dragon Kings, there are other beings that can rule the world. When thinking of this possibility, Evil Eye couldn't help but call out the name of the legendary magic book. Unnamed spellbook? 8 Desire Kings? No. How is this possible? Hearing her words, Qin Ren just shrugged his shoulders. Everything is possible, little one. In Evil Eye's ears, this sentence was equivalent to acknowledging the identity of the 8 Desire Kings. This sentence shocked her as much as the tragic scene when Imperia was destroyed. No. It's impossible. The 8 Desire Kings are just a legend. The other party just got the book and was experimenting with the power of this item. Even though it was a life and death battle for her, Evil Eye knew that with the other party's ability, it would be easy to kill her. The reason why she was able to hold on for so long was entirely because the other party didn't kill her. Evil Eye was not stupid. She had already felt that she was just the other party's toy, a test subject for the book. When the other party's experiment was over, Evil Eye had no doubt that she would be killed immediately. However, just as Evil Eye was counting down to her own death and fear, a loud noise sounded in front of her. It was as if something heavy had fallen to the ground. Evil Eye raised her head, and the face under the mask that had been slightly broken, faced the other party. It was a warrior wearing black armor, and the bright red cloak was swaying behind him like a flame. In each of his hands, he held an unusually large giant sword. The cold voice that cut through her fear sounded at the same time. My only enemies should be demons, right? P.S. I actually wanted to write about the Spanish mackerel king, but the original work didn't write about the detailed settings of the Spanish mackerel king. Chapter 516, Brain supplement is the characteristic of Bone King. You have to taste it. Helper, friendly, evil eye, who didn't know the black-armored warrior, thought of this the first time she heard him. But why did the other party ask such a stupid question? Could there be someone else besides the devil as the enemy? The question of the black-armored warrior who suddenly appeared sounded stupid even to Evil Eye, who was at the limit of life and death. But the next moment she also reacted. She didn't know the other party, and the other party didn't know her either. She was wearing a mask. Even if she was mistaken for a magic caster who summoned a devil and was attacked by the summoned creature, it would be no problem. But what if she knew that she was a friend? I am Evil Eye of Blue Rose. I am an adamantium class adventurer. Now, run away. This is a monster that I can't deal with. Even as an adamantium class adventurer, she thought she had no resistance to the powerful power of this devil. And this was only when the other party showed a prop that looked like the unnamed spellbook of the 8 Desire Kings, and the other party's own strength had not yet been shown. In this case, this reinforcement whose strength is still unknown, even if they are also adamantium class, they will die if they attack together. Even if Lacus and the others were there was nothing they could do. In front of such a strong man, the adamantium class adventurers were useless. The number of people in the hero field was just a matter of one more or one less piece of paper. Run. Useless resistance would only increase casualties. With this thought in mind, Evil Eye warned. I know. No matter how much Evil Eye said, it was the same as saying nothing to Aints. After all, who could understand Albert better than him? With this thought in mind, Aints continued to play the role of the Dark Warrior Momo, blocking in front of Evil Eye, facing Qin Ren, and raised a pair of giant swords. Demon. At this time, Qin Ren's goat face showed a smile. Dark Hero? What a fate. I didn't expect to meet again after the floating city. Dark Hero? Floating city? The information in Qin Ren's words made Evil Eye's eyes widen. Aints was completely bewildered. If there was flesh and blood on his face under the helmet, he would have certainly shown a look of astonishment. Floating city? What is that? Dark Hero? Is that my title? Although I don't know what Albert is talking about, I should still cooperate with the acting now, right? But what should I say? Oh, right? When you don't know what to say, just say something ambiguous and give the initiative back to Albert. Aints immediately had an idea. Aints was a little overwhelmed. After making up his mind, he was silent for a while and continued. Demon, what is the purpose of your coming to this kingdom? Is it really for that? As a corporate slave, although he doesn't know the art of emperorship, Aints thinks he is still good at speaking. Of course it's for that. Qin Ren laughed in his heart and spread his hands in perfect cooperation. The demon god script floated on his left side, surrounded by a glow. While firing magic at Aints, he continued. Of course it's to recover the secret treasure that can awaken Setqui, the secret treasure that can create a demon army. Do you think that as Baphomet Jaldabaoth and the Demon King, what reason do I have for not recovering it? Jaldabaoth is another name for Demiurge, a demon with a lion's head and a human body. Baphomet is a demon with a goat's head. The two combined. Chimera, a fire-breathing monster with a lion's head, a goat's body, and a snake's tail, or a two-headed monster with both a goat's head and a lion's head. After slightly modifying the pronunciation, Qin Ren compiled the role he played. Demon King Baphomet Jaldabaoth. Aints swung his huge swords, and countless sword shadows crisscrossed. The ice crystals that had forced Evil Eye to dodge and finally used damage transferred to resist were easily shattered by Aints. Even Evil Eye, a vampire, could not fully grasp such a scene. However, she also understood one thing. This Dark Warrior had the same combat power as the other party. So powerful, Evil Eye's heart revealed a few words of admiration. However, compared to this, The information in the words made her pay more attention. According to the information in the conversation, this demon who called himself Demon King knew this dark warrior, and they had both been to the legendary floating city. That book really belonged to the legendary 8 Desire Kings. The reason why the other party appeared here was a secret treasure. The awakening of the legendary Dragon King of Destruction, the giant tree in the top great forest, which has been making a lot of noise these days, is because of this secret treasure. It can awaken this legendary monster and create a demon army. Wait, this is 8 Fingers Drug Farm. Could it be? After hearing what Qin Ren said, a possibility emerged in Evil Eye's mind. At this moment, she heard the dark hero who blocked the magic with a pair of giant swords, saying, "If we return the item to you, will you choose to leave?" Is this a negotiation? Negotiating with the Demon King? Evil Eye felt a little strange, but thinking of the fear brought to her by this Demon King and his terrifying power, she didn't think there was anything wrong. If such a powerful demon were to wreak havoc in the kingdom of Restes, would this country also be destroyed like Imbria? As a rainbow-eyed person, this princess who destroyed a country, Evil Eye's mind once again emerged with the scene of the destruction of a country with a population of 5 million people turned into undead more than 200 years ago. Knowing the power of the other party, it is normal not to want to start a war when there is no certainty of destroying the other party or even the possibility of defeat. While Evil Eye was thinking about it, Qin Ren noticed this and continued to laugh in his heart, and responded without any expression on his face. Unfortunately, they obviously already know the power of the secret treasure. I don't think they will hand it over easily, and you can't take the secret treasure back. And if you get the secret treasure, it will be very dangerous for me. Qin Ren's words made Evil Eye think about it again. This sentence obviously acknowledged the power of the black hero, a black armored warrior she didn't know. And because of the power of this secret treasure, the Demon King believed that no one would hand over the secret treasure. If the black hero got this item, it would become a threat to the Demon King. No matter from which angle, the Demon King must take the item back by himself. Chapter 517 on the self-cultivation of actors. While she was thinking wildly, Qin Ren continued to release magic, and Ance, the black armored warrior, kept swinging his weapon to cut off Qin Ren's magic. Although she knew that neither of them took her seriously, she was still a little breathless when she saw the magic light flying all over the sky and the tracks left in the air by the giant sword reflecting the moonlight and firelight. Knowing that she was pitifully weak in front of these 2 strong men, she retreated to the back, to a position where she would not interfere with the unknown black armored warrior. At this time, Horton and Nabe also landed beside her. Knowing that these 2 people came with the black armored warrior, Evil Eye did not react much, but transferred some of her vigilance to the masked demon, maid and dark elf standing aside. She did not forget the aura that the other party exuded, which frightened her. Even if they were not as good as this Demon King and dark hero, they were much stronger than herself. As for Qin Ren's words, Ance's heart was full of question marks. What on earth was Ulbert talking about? What is a floating city? I don't know. Demon King? Maybe it was Ulbert's temporary idea of a middle school identity? He basically didn't understand what Qin Ren said. Although he didn't understand, he just had to cooperate and ask Ulbert later. With this idea in mind, Ance continued to play the role of dark hero. Since you don't want to leave, you boffo, then I can only defeat you here. He opened his arms and slightly tilted his pair of giant swords, reflecting a cold light on the cold blades. That's really a headache. A smile appeared on the goat's face, and the magic brilliance appeared on the demon's grip in Qin Ren's hand. At the same time, an evil aura flowed between Qin Ren's hands, demon aspects, giant demon arms. Although he did not have Demiurge's profession transformer and could not be expanded, Ulbert himself only had a few of the skills of the Demon Aspects series based on the race, but Qin Ren had no obstacles in using them. Moreover, he also injected some of his own strength. In an instant, his arms swelled and thickened, and his temperament instantly changed from the original elegant and evil posture to rough and violent. In Evil Eye's eyes, with a roar, the Demon King took a step towards the Dark Hero. The Dark Hero also took a step towards the Demon King. Or rather, it felt like a step, because, when she sensed the existence of both parties again, The two had crossed a distance of nearly 100 meters and collided with each other. The demonic arms of the Demon King, which were several times thicker than her body, tightly grasped the giant swords of the dark hero in both hands. Then clang, with a loud bang, terrifying power burst out from the giant sword of the black-armored warrior, and the pair of giant claws were directly stretched out. The next moment, the light on the giant sword blade formed a series of silver tracks. The black-armored warrior was using a high-speed slash that she couldn't see clearly to attack the Demon King. However, the opponent's strength was also extremely strong. The huge arm swung at an uncoordinated speed, and the thick sharp claws bounced back the slashes one by one. Seeing this scene, Evil Eye's heart couldn't help but tighten. Maybe it was because of worrying about her own safety, or maybe it was because of something else. Evil Eye stared at the black-armored warrior closely, and the scene of him blocking her way just now appeared in her mind. When her attention returned to reality, the figure of the other party swinging the giant sword every time was so cool. "Come on, knight." Evil Eye clasped her hands and prayed. As a princess, she longed for the knight who saved the princess in a cool way in the stories sung by the bard. Her heart, which had not moved for 250 years, seemed to skip a beat. She hoped that her knight could defeat the powerful demon. Of course, Ainz didn't know that a vampire little girl of the same race as Shoutir suddenly became horny. His only thought now was that Albert was very powerful in close combat. As a dark summoning profession specialized in necromancy, Ainz was not used to it and didn't know any close combat skills. In the battle with the Qin people, he could feel that he was completely suppressed. However, the other party was deliberately letting him go. Ainz was not surprised by being let go. After all, the previous plan had discussed that the hero he played would win. But even so, Ainz was still somewhat surprised that Albert easily suppressed his every attack. Unlike other guild members, Ainz's favorite virtual game was only Drizzle, and he had only played this one character. Albert's profession in Drizzle was a firepower-enhanced mage, which Ainz knew very well. Mages' melee skills were not very good, which was a common shortcoming of mages, but Albert was now able to easily suppress him in melee combat. According to Ainz's understanding, Albert had not engaged in any melee combat in Drizzle. In other words, Albert should have played other games and chosen a melee profession. Or in reality, Ainz remembered that Albert was a member of an anti-government organization in reality, a so-called terrorist. And just as he was distracted by thinking, accepting Qin Ren's feeding moves, and swinging his giant sword to launch a strong slash at the opponent, he suddenly felt that the opponent's strength suddenly decreased. With a loud noise like metal hitting metal, Qin Ren flew into the sky as if he was knocked away. Ainz was a little confused about the situation and was stunned for a moment, and did not chase him immediately. His action made Evil Eye stunned for a moment. Why didn't he pursue him? But at this moment, she heard the voice of the Demon King again, as expected of someone who can survive after breaking into the floating city. "You are really cautious, the dark hero." Then, another voice sounded. Demon's aspects, tentacle wings. Wings grew on the back of the Demon King. A pair of huge gray-black wings. Feathers? No, not feathers. Each of those things that would be mistaken for feathers at a glance looked like flat tentacles to Evil Eye's keen vision. Moreover, the tip was very sharp, like a sharp blade, as if it could easily cut through anything. Forget the polite words. I have no intention of committing suicide in front of the Demon King, who always has a trick up his sleeve. Hearing this, Evil Eye widened her eyes. Even if she used the vampire form that she hated, she still couldn't defeat the battle. Was it still a battle without using all her strength? At this moment, she saw the Demon King suddenly turn his head and looked to the southeast. Humphrey, the fanatics of the slain theocracy came so quickly. After saying this, the gray-black wings of the other party, which were like countless tentacles, squirmed and fanned out a storm. I will definitely take back the secret treasure. Next time, I will not hold back. Let's go. The last voice was said to the masked demon and others over there. Yes, Demiurge, Mare, and Intoma bowed their heads together. Then, Evil Eye watched the masked demon pick up the dark elf and the maid, and stretched out huge wings on his back that were similar to those of the Demon King but several times smaller, and disappeared into the night sky with the Demon King. P.S. Director, add chicken legs, add chicken legs. 1 chicken leg for each person. Chapter 518 Blood Emperor. However, just as the Demon King left, the pair of wings flapped, and countless sharp feathers shot down from the sky, covering everyone. Why would they attack again? Evil Eye looked at the countless feathers flying towards her in amazement. When she was played by the opponent, she used the magic of damage transferred to transfer the damage. Now, she couldn't even use magic to make magic like Crystal Shield. Otherwise, when the black armored warrior was fighting, she would at least provide some help from the side. Hot and Nabe beside her also immediately used protective magic, Thunder Wall. Facing the feather attack that was rarer than others, Nabe used the third-level protective magic of Thunder attribute. Magic protection. Hot hurriedly chanted the spell, and the attribute Ellis magic surged out and condensed into a purple shield. With the distance between them and Evil Eye, it was not impossible to protect Evil Eye, but Nabe deliberately did not do it, and Hot was too flustered and did not notice that Evil Eye had no magic. In this situation, Evil Eye watched helplessly as the feathers approached at high speed and surrounded her. Evil Eye was helpless and could only choose to crawl and try to avoid the attack with clumsy movements. However, the next moment, a hard metal collision sounded. Evil Eye raised her head and saw that the Dark Warrior was half kneeling on the ground, with his back facing her and blocking her, the giant sword in his hands crossed in front of her. From her perspective, she could see the corners of the two giant swords extending to both sides. At the same time, the other party's heavy voice sounded, "Are you okay? Use your body to block the attack." Evil Eye felt as if her heart beat again. Compared with her spring heart, Ainz was extremely puzzled. Just now, when Albert retreated, the other party secretly said to him, "Ainz, use your body to help the little vampire block the feathers," and deliberately get hurt. Ainz was very puzzled. This girl is a vampire. Even if she was pierced through by the feathers, she would not die. To keep a good impression? To show a favor? Oh, this person is an adamantium class adventurer. With her help, it would be easier and faster for him to integrate into human society and gain status and fame. Ainz thought in this direction. As for being injured, even if he was pierced, he would not be injured. He deliberately let some feathers pierce his body. After discovering that he was injured, Evil Eye immediately showed his concern. At the same time, in the Baharu Empire, inside the palace, in a gorgeous and luxurious room, a two-seater bench made of high-quality wood and carved with gorgeous patterns was placed in the center of the room. On the seat, on the cushion made of the fur of some powerful magical beast, a handsome young man with clear eyebrows and eyes was lying on the bench. The golden hair reflected the magic lights lit around, as if the brilliance of stars appeared. The slender purple pupils at the corners of his eyes were like amethysts, and everyone who saw them would be fascinated by them. This was not a prelude to a merry souplot, but just the normal state of the Emperor of the Baharu Empire. Most women in the Baharu Empire had the delusion of being able to marry him. This 22-year-old Emperor of the Bahar's Empire possesses powerful means. Unlike the nobles of the kingdom who bully the royal family, the nobles here will only be intimidated by him and submit to his authority. The people also hold him in the highest respect because of his great achievements, which have made the Bahar's Empire prosperous. The most wise emperor in the history of the Bahar's Empire, the Blood Emperor Jerknivlon Faradelnix. However, when people actually see him in person, only fools and nymphomaniacs will first fall on his appearance and admire his handsome features. It has nothing to do with his appearance. The temperament he exudes and the innate kingly demeanor will give anyone the impression of a ruler. Even strangers who have not learned about his iron-blooded deeds of purging the rebellious nobles will have such an impression. At this moment, he was lying on the bed in a lazy posture, looking at the ceiling. However, his pupils, which sometimes shrank and sometimes expanded, proved that he was not in a daze. He was not generating electricity. He was thinking about the recent plan to capture the kingdom of Riestes. It must be done as soon as possible. The kingdom of Riestes must be captured before the Golden Princess, that monster-like woman, takes power. Otherwise, after she takes power, even if the Bahar's Empire has a stronger fighting force, it will become difficult to capture the kingdom of Riestes. But there seem to be more accidents recently. The 6 gods of the Sicilian theocracy return. The magic tree Setquia awakens. Something happened in the dwarf kingdom again. The Platinum Dragon King just left the Council Kingdom and should be heading to the Kingdom of Rest. These unexpected events gave Zhurkniv a headache. According to the original plan, the Silian theocracy would kill the warrior leader of the kingdom to make it easier for Zhurkniv to conquer the kingdom. He did not have any direct contact with the theocracy, but he knew why the theocracy would kill the warrior leader. For the empire, or for humanity, compared to the location of the Bahus Empire, the location of the Kingdom of Rest is more prosperous. If it develops normally, the resources of the Kingdom of Rest can make the kingdom develop better than the empire. However, the high-level corruption of the Kingdom of Rest, the incompetence of the king, and the infighting of the nobles, the entire country is useless in the eyes of the theocracy. Existence is a waste of human resources. Because the kingdom is no longer safe, the theocracy decided to abandon the kingdom. Although the council state is a non-human country, an enemy, and the strongest country among the non-human races, the leaders of the council state, the Dragon Kings, did not launch an active attack on humans. However, based on the concept of human supremacy of the Silian theocracy, Zhurkniv is very clear that the council state is the imaginary enemy of the Silian theocracy. There is nothing wrong with this, and Zhurkniv would think so. However, at least now, within 100 years, the territory of the kingdom is very good, and there is no need to fight with non-humans. The theocracy originally placed its hopes on the kingdom, hoping that this country will develop well here and become a prosperous and powerful human country, to resist foreign enemies and contribute to an event called 100-year aftershocks. Zhurkniv was not very clear about the so-called 100-year aftershock. It seems that there is a saying that the enemy is not the council, but Zhurkniv still can't figure out what can be more threatening than the council. Demon Zhurkniv, who has not mastered enough intelligence, can't understand the inside story of these things. However, what he knows now is that the corruption of the kingdom's high-level officials has led to the decline of the entire country, and his iron-blooded rule has made the empire rise. In contrast, the theocracy will certainly place more hope on him. This is not conceited. Zhurkniv has such confidence. According to the plan of the theocracy, since this country can no longer be saved, it will choose to overthrow it, so that the empire will benefit and reduce human internal friction. If you want to overthrow the kingdom, you need to get rid of the warrior leader first. However, the current problem is that there seems to be a problem within the Silian theocracy, as if there is a problem with the sunlight scripture that was sent out. What is the situation? The Blood Emperor is a little troubled. P.S. Migo is a vampire. That's right, her innate ability recorded the soul-destroying magic of the decayed Coffin Dragon King, absorbing the souls of all nearby people and turning her into a vampire. See the content of the side story for details. Chapter 519, The Empire's Magic Chanter. In the room, besides the Bahus Emperor Zhurkniv, there were 4 servants. Zhurkniv's somewhat strange behavior was already the norm in the memories of several people. When they secretly glanced at His Majesty with fearful and respectful eyes, the door was opened without any noise or knocks. Who was so rude to break into His Majesty's room without permission? An old man wearing a loose pure white robe, with a long white beard that was nearly half his height. The necklace made of countless small crystal balls hanging around his neck was flowing with magic power, and the dry fingers were wearing several plain rings, which also reflected the brilliance of magic. These items are all powerful magic props. A magic caster. And he is also the most powerful magic caster that humans can reach. The 6th rank magic chanter, with the title of Triple Magic Chanter, is the highest ranking magic chanter in the history of the empire, and is also the chairman's court magician and the famous great sage, Fluter Paradine. The 4 servants immediately lowered their heads. In the empire, the only person who is qualified to do this is this old man. Seeing the old man walk into the room, Zhurkniv sat up from the bench. Old man, what's the situation again? Abnormal. The old man walked into the room slowly, moved his eyeballs, and uttered a word. What's abnormal? Zhurkniv raised his eyebrows, and a trace of doubt appeared on his handsome face that could make thousands of women scream at the top of their lungs. The situation of Li Yesji is abnormal. Fluter stroked his beard. Of course I know it's abnormal. What's abnormal? Jerkniv picked up a piece of paper on the table and handed it to Fluter. Oh, 8 Fingers, a church that believes in the devil and creates demons? Fluter took the paper and looked at it, his face showing interest. The kingdom of Riest actually has this kind of technology. Turning corpses into undead beings is not uncommon, but turning living things into demons is a technology he has never heard of. Fluter seemed quite surprised. It records in detail the recent activities of 8 Fingers, including that the drug farm actually grows crops that create demons, and that 8 Fingers is actually a church that believes in demons and has always kept a low profile to hide its tracks. Then, Your Majesty, have you sent anyone to contact this 8 Fingers? I haven't done that. That's the capital of the kingdom. Sending people directly there will definitely attract the attention of that woman. Jerkniv shook his head. Even though he was hailed as the greatest emperor of the Bohuz Empire, he was extremely wary of the Golden Princess. The experiments she promoted to enhance national strength were successful in our testing grounds, although there are many idiots in the kingdom, which led to the failure of policy promotion. Her reputation has greatly improved in the hearts of people with eyes. The 2 fine steel-level forces, Crimson and Blue Rose, have also been brought under her command. Jerkniv crossed his fingers and told the information he had obtained. I wonder if this 8 Fingers was cultivated by the Golden Princess, that monster. He made such a guess. Forget about the king or other nobles who are fools, but with the Golden Princess's monstrous wisdom, he didn't believe that such an organization could have been hiding in the capital for so long without revealing any trace. The more he looked at it, the more he felt that it was the Golden Princess's deliberate act. He handed another piece of paper to Fluter. Yesterday, Blue Rose set out from the capital and headed towards the drug farm, the farm that planted crops for making demons. Taking the paper again, Fluter glanced at it, his eyes unclear. After a moment of silence, he said, "Are you sure it's a demon, not a synthetic beast or other demonization? Some evil magic casters, even himself, have done experiments on demonization." After learning that the godman inherited the blood of the player, Fluter also had the idea of creating a godman, obtaining monsters and the power of subhumans in the body of a human. But, in the end, it failed. The crops for making demons might be this kind. It hasn't been confirmed yet, and there is no more detailed information. Jerkniv shook his head. Now, the only thing that can be confirmed is that in a place called Khan village near Irantal, there is a girl named Enri who has a large number of demons under her command. This is the only evidence that 8 Fingers has conducted experiments related to demons. Khan village. Hearing this name, Fluter was stunned. Wait a minute, Your Majesty, the Sunlight Scripture rebelled near Khan village? Yes, the top forest, where the Dragon King of Destruction and the demonic tree Setqui are sealed, is also near Khan village. That's right. Then is it possible that these 2 things are related to 8 Fingers? A trace of solemnity emerged on Fluter's vicissitudes of life. I think it's possible. Jerkniv nodded seriously, and then he asked, Old man, can you use magic to see the person behind 8 Fingers? This could be a very powerful magic caster, or even a high-level demon. Previously, he asked Fluter to investigate the matter of the magic tree in the top forest. He thought that the time when the magic tree awakened was a bit too coincidental, and wanted Fluter to investigate the situation and find the mastermind behind the scenes. However, now that everything is connected to the organization 8 Fingers, the focus will shift. Fluter also understood Jerkniv's words, and he stroked his beard. If 8 Fingers really has this technology, there should be a powerful magic caster behind it. And, if he can hide it until now and it is unknown, then he must have very powerful magic props, or use his own power to prevent others from detecting it. In this case, he is likely to use magic that is equal to or higher than mine. He seemed a little happy when he said this. 200 years, 200 years. I hope this unique magic caster can teach me something new. Hearing his sigh, Jerkniv also smiled. Before, the old man said that in these 200 years, he had only met one magic caster who was stronger than him, the necromancer Ligurite Beers Kalaw, but that was 200 years ago. Now, he is the most powerful human magic caster. Jerkniv knew what kind of dream Fluter had. Fluter wanted to explore the abyss of magic. To do this, He wanted to learn from the people who walked ahead of him. The latecomers just need to follow the path pioneered by someone. They walk on the most efficient and best path, and thus thoroughly cultivate their talents. However, Fluter, who walked alone in the front, did not have this blessing. Since 200 years ago, in most cases, this guide was Fluter, the greatest magic caster in the human race. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 520 The Princess, Li the Evil. The next day, in the royal palace of the royal capital, yes, the Blue Rose team, who had met up with Evil Eye, had also returned to the royal capital. Lagaz, who had not changed into formal attire or long skirt, but was still wearing armor, also came to the royal palace to report to Lana. Does Eight Fingers possess such a powerful item? Lana opened her mouth in shock as she listened to the information that Lagaz relayed from Evil Eye. Powerfuler than the warrior captain? Yes, Lagaz's face was quite solemn. Even if it is a powerful enemy that we can't deal with, I have already passed the news to the guild master of the Adventurers Guild, and he has begun to arrange measures to deal with the Demon Emperor. The Demon Emperor will attack the royal capital at some time in the future, raid Eight Fingers' base, and take back that secret treasure. Is this news reliable? Lana tilted her head. If the enemy claims this and it is just a feint to attract our attention, then wouldn't that be bad? The power is being used in the wrong place. Lana's words gave Lagaz a headache, because Lana was right. Getting information from the enemy's mouth, this source of information is problematic in itself. For this matter, the guildmaster decided to recall other high-level adventurer teams, whether it was Orichalcum or Mithril, including another fine steel adventurer team, that is, the team of her uncle Crimson, who was carrying out the commission in the council country, back to the capital. However, if this news is a bait, and the other party is actually attacking other places, then it will be bad. But we have no other way. Lagaz sighed. According to Evil Eye's description, the Demon King actually possessed the legendary unnamed spellbook of the 8 Desire Kings, and fought with his physical body, which was also extremely powerful. In front of the opponent, Gagarin could only withstand one blow at most. In the face of such terrifying combat power, they can only rely on a warrior Momo from the southern country, who is called the Black Hero. In this case, what else can they do? Sighing, Lagaz said goodbye to Lana and prepared to leave. Then Lana, if you have any ideas, call me again. I need to see what the guildmaster is preparing for now. And I also need to find 8 Fingers. All of this is aimed at 8 Fingers. No matter what, 8 Fingers will not be let go. Lagaz naturally also needs to find out the situation on 8 Fingers' side. If it is best, take 8 Fingers' props first and don't let it fall into the hands of the Demon King. Okay then, Lana nodded, watching Lagaz open the door and walk out. Lady Lana, this incident. Standing next to her, a boy who looked about 17 or 18 years old, wearing a silver-white armor, said, "Is it that serious?" Listening to the description of Lady Lagaz, the fine steel-level adventurer, the boy, Clem, had an inexplicable sense of unreality. Absurd? Ridiculous? If the Demon King has the strength that Lagaz said, then this incident is really serious. It is not impossible that the kingdom will be destroyed because of this incident. I didn't expect that before the Demon Tree, the kingdom encountered such a disaster again. We need to inform my father and the warrior captain about this matter. Lana nodded seriously. I'll go find the warrior captain. Hearing Lana's words, Clem was stunned. Then, he said hurriedly and immediately turned and left the room. And just as he left the room and the door closed, the expression of the Golden Princess collapsed. "Mr. Demon God, what are you going to do?" The voice that did not change from before, coupled with such an expression, seemed quite strange. "I don't know when." A blond young man appeared across the table. "No preparations. What I got, no matter what, I can't give it to Bafumi." Qin Ren smiled and picked up the cup. "Your Highness, it's not good to give the cup I use to others. I give it to myself." Demon God, Izil. This is the self-proclaimed name of the man who suddenly appeared in front of her yesterday. She had never heard of such an existence. However, the other party offered the reward she wanted, the power to control the mind. With this power, you can train your cute puppy at will. The other party said so. Although it would be a bit boring, it might come in handy if something unexpected happens. In the end, she chose to agree. If you don't agree, it doesn't matter. I can't guarantee the consequences. Threats of violence are really the lowest tactic, but it is also the most direct and effective. At least, Lana chose to agree. So, Mr. Demon, how do you want me to perform next? There was no idea of adjusting her expression at will in front of Climb, Lagas, and other people. The expression on Lana's face now was an expression that anyone who saw it could only feel disgust. How about this, for example, as a benchmark of justice, as the hope of the kingdom? The Golden Princess is actually the person behind the darkest forces in the kingdom. How about this role? Qin Ren had a smile on his face. What a bad taste. Princess Lana's expression instantly turned into a smile, but unlike the face that was specially framed and modified in front of other people, as if she didn't bother to hide it, this expression looked full of disobedience, like a real mask. You don't want to push me out and let me go to the guillotine after the use is over? How could that be? Qin Ren's face also had a smile on it. As long as you can still bring me fun, I won't do it. In other words, as long as it can't bring him fun, such a result is not impossible. That's really not good. The expression on Lana's face gradually became real. At the moment the voice sounded, her expression became as natural as a smile from the heart. Please forgive me for resisting. There was no need to hide, and she couldn't hide it. She could feel that everything she did was seen by the other party. In this case, an open conspiracy was needed. Of course, Qin Ren's smile became more intense. It's fun for the weak to fight and struggle with all their might in front of the strong, but, can it succeed? While Qin Ren was talking to the Golden Princess in a friendly manner, Lagas opened the door of an inn in the capital that had accommodation facilities, stables, and a large courtyard for sword practice. Unlike usual, she didn't want to say anything about not being able to control the power inside this beautiful building, facing the clear glass mirror, holding her magic sword. Now, the situation is very bad. Chapter 521, Sebastian Gazef. The spacious hotel and restaurant that used the entire first floor space. Originally, the number of adventurers on the first floor of this expensive hotel should be very few, but now, there are quite a few people here. Although not all high-level adventurers are strong, there are more strong people among high-level adventurers than low-level adventurers, and the proportion is also high. As a high-level adventurer, and the only two steel-level adventurer teams in the kingdom, and an adventurer who has entered the hero realm, Lagas's figure naturally attracted the attention of many people. However, although she was born in a noble family, her relationship with other civilian adventurers is not bad. Moreover, she is also a priest knight, good at healing magic, and a priest knight who has mastered resurrection magic. For many adventurers, it is also necessary to have a good relationship. Seeing her appear, familiar adventurers all greeted her. Although she was very concerned about the Demon King and the Eight Fingers, she still responded to the greetings of others. However, that was all. In a hurry, she returned to the room of the Kangkyangwai people. Meanwhile, the Kingdom Warrior Captain, Gazef, looked at the sky. It's going to rain. Heavy dark clouds pressed down on the capital, as if the entire city was shrouded in malice. He had returned from his previous mission. When they arrived near Khan village, they discovered the top forest and the magic tree set Kwai when they had a wider view. Not long after, they received an emergency order from the king and were transferred back to the capital. When the magic chanter who delivered the order rushed over, they had not even confirmed what had happened in Khan village. After meeting the king, Gazef stayed in the capital. Gazef turned around and returned to his residence. Although he was the Kingdom Warrior Captain, he was not a noble or a royal family member, but a commoner. He put on his cloak and prepared to return home before it rained. On the way back home, he passed by a restaurant, the Golden Light Pavilion. However, just as he passed by the door, he heard a voice coming from the closed door. It's not delicious at all. Not delicious? Gaze turned his eyes to the store with some curiosity. Although he did not come to this store often because it was too expensive, he knew one thing very well. This store was the best restaurant in the capital, and the dishes inside were expensive dishes that only the princes, nobles and wealthy merchants could taste. Moreover, this restaurant had an aristocratic background, not only in the capital, but also in Izir. In that walled city and other larger cities in the kingdom, there were restaurants with the same name. How could someone complain that the food was not delicious here? Although the door was closed, Gaze could not help but cast a curious gaze on the door. As if he had walked through the door, someone was walking over. A woman, with light steps, either a noble lady or an assassin who was good at secret assassination. With his well-trained warrior consciousness, Gaze made a judgment on the person walking from the store to the door. And the next moment, as the door was pushed open, a gorgeously dressed woman with blonde hair comparable to Lana but more mature walked out of the store. Although she was angry, her steps were still elegant. With her long golden hair swaying, the woman walked out of the gate. She was undoubtedly a noble lady. Gaze made a judgment based on her temperament and actions, but there was no doubt that he had never seen or heard of this woman. The appearance of this beautiful woman was slightly inferior to that of the golden princess Lana. Although Gaze did not care about these things, if there was such a beauty, he would have heard of it. Foreign countries, Bahar Empire, Scythian theocracy, Holy Kingdom, or a country further south? The names of other countries emerged in Gaze's mind. At this time, he noticed that after the other party came out, she glanced at him, then turned away and walked towards the carriage next to her. Go back immediately. After her voice sounded, the voice of a warm and vicissitudes old man sounded as a response. But Miss Sebastian, do whatever I say. Yes, miss. At this time, Gaze saw the white-haired old man in butler's clothes following the blonde woman. However, just by seeing the other party, Gaze felt something was wrong. This butler was very strong. He was not an ordinary person, but a powerful warrior with strong force. Ordinary people could not see it, but from some details, such as walking posture and movement details, Gaze judged that the other party had strong physical fitness and high-level fighting skills. Even the other party was stronger than himself. How could this be possible? Gaze even thought that this was his own illusion. He was the most powerful warrior captain in this kingdom, a strong man who had entered the realm of heroes. However, he was not arrogant. There must be people who were stronger than himself. This old butler might really be stronger than himself. But why was the other party a butler? He was a strong man when he was young, and retired when he was old? But why did he retire to become a butler? After some questions emerged in his mind, Gaze decided to communicate with the other party directly. Although it was a little inappropriate, there was no problem. In private, he wanted to understand the communication, and in public, the matter of the magic tree set Qi needed to be dealt with, and a strong warrior was also necessary. With this idea in mind, Gaze walked towards the other party. The butler, Sebastian, naturally noticed the kingdom warrior captain Gaze. He was sent by Ains from the great tomb of Nazarick to investigate the situation in the kingdom. Of course, he knew about the kingdom warrior captain Gaze, who was praised as the strongest human in the kingdom. However, he did not get permission to contact such a person rashly. However, it was obvious that there was no time for him to ask for instructions in the current situation. The great forest of Tog, under the instructions of the Qin people, Prosperity, who acted as the demon tree set Qi, has already taken action. According to the instructions of the Supreme, he wants to turn this place into a second forest of abundance and a second prosperous country. Although he does not have the power of the Supreme, it is not difficult for Prosperity to create the people of Prosperity. The demon god tree as the main body continuously absorbs the power of the earth, and then black flowers bloom on the branches. The flowers grow and decay at a very fast speed, and then produce huge fruits. The black fruits fell on the ground, and various creatures emerged from them. Chapter 522 Platinum Dragon King. Among the creatures born from the pitch-black fruit, some are humanoid. However, they are not human. Those pointed ears, elves. There is no doubt that they are elves. For Prosperity, It is already a common thing to carry out this kind of birth behavior that he has carried out countless times. And he did not regard these creations as his own offspring, although they fell from his body and were born by himself, for prosperity. The significance of this is no different from the falling of a leaf. From a human perspective, at most a few hairs fell off. Even if they died, it would not have any effect on him, and he would not even feel angry. For the Supreme, is my existence the same? With such an idea, prosperity could not help but extend his thoughts to his Creator. However, he did not know, indifferently watching the elves walk out of the pitch-black fruit and shout to him. Prosperity's eyes swept across another area. In his huge body, he could see the affairs of most of the kingdom. Whether it was the scene of the little hamster dozing near the roots, or the scene of the little tree spirit talking to the prosperous people in the form of tree people she created next to the main body, or the empty armor that appeared from the far north, the eyes of the Platinum Dragon King Changelux White Scion of the Council State seemed to be looking at the other side of the distance. Beside him, an old woman with a sword on her waist, who was showing a lively temperament like a young girl, said, "How is it? Has my old friend Charles arrived?" Almost. The huge membrane-like wings swayed slightly, wrapping the Platinum Dragon body like a quilt, and the heavy and slightly helpless voice of the Platinum Dragon King sounded. "I don't know if the dangerous people from the Slian theocracy have arrived." The old woman's voice sounded again. Listening to the words of his old friend, the Platinum Dragon King just smiled slightly. This old woman, who was over 250 years old, was his good friend, the messenger of the dead, one of the 13 heroes, Ligurito Balsgolon. Once, he joined the team to destroy the demon god by controlling a humanoid armor under the name of Char and became a companion of the 13 heroes. Although his true identity was later known, others, including Ligurito, had resentment against him. And Ligurito often said that the empty armor was her friend. Of course, it was not because of race. There were various races among the people who fought against the demon god. As a dragon race, although it was a little special, it would not be a reason to complain. There are descendants of players among the people of the Silian theocracy. Unlike the leader, those people are very dangerous. Ligurito's voice sounded again. The leader of the 13 heroes is the so-called player. Although some concepts are not very clear, one thing is clear: players are not the existence of this world. So far, many players have appeared in this world. There are also several players among the 6 gods, the 8 Desire Kings, and the 13 heroes. Their leader, the player, is on the side of this world, while the 8 Desire Kings wantonly vent their desires and cause disasters. They are the culprits who polluted the original magic of this world and allowed rank magic to appear in this world. As for the 6 great gods, although they protected the human race, they are also dangerous elements in their eyes. Even though they are dead, they still left behind many powerful props. If these props themselves are not used properly, they will become a disaster for the world. I know that those people have a lot of props from Drizzle. The voice of the Platinum Dragon King sounded. The position of the people of the Silian theocracy is very dangerous. Apart from the matter of human supremacy, the Platinum Dragon King is worried that these people may turn to the player. Moreover, they have mastered the props, the world-class props of the same level as the original magic, the beauty of the country. The alien monster called the Dragon King of Destruction, the magic tree Set Qui, is likely to become the target of the Silian theocracy. Except for the true Dragon Kings like it who have mastered the original magic, other beings may be controlled by the allure of the country. Knowing that the Council State was regarded as an imaginary enemy by the Silian theocracy and knowing the strong hostility of the Silian theocracy towards other non-human countries, the Platinum Dragon King had no doubt that after controlling the magic tree Set Qui, the Silian theocracy would use Set Qui as a weapon to attack other countries. If there is a chance, I will destroy the destruction of Dragon King. The voice of the Platinum Dragon King sounded. Although it is called the destruction of Dragon King, the Platinum Dragon King knows very well that the thing is not a dragon, not his kind. Moreover, the thing is harmful to the world, and if there is a chance, the Platinum Dragon King will destroy it. The Platinum Dragon King has no worries about destroying the destruction of Dragon King. The strength of the destruction of Dragon King is much weaker than him. However, Is it really a good idea to confront the Scythian theocracy at this time? The Platinum Dragon King hesitated. There seems to be a very special god-man in the Scythian theocracy. Even Ligurito does not know about this god-man who is very hidden. If possible, try not to confront the Scythian theocracy at this time, because the 100-year aftershock is coming soon. Since the appearance of the 6 gods, every 100 years or so, a player will appear in this world. Although the Scythian theocracy, as the descendant of the gods, may turn against the player of the human race, if it encounters a player of the human race, the human supremacist Scythian theocracy will basically not turn against the player. In this case, the Scythian theocracy is a friendly force against the player. When destroying the magic tree, it is very likely to encounter people from the Scythian theocracy. If a war is started because of this conflict, the Platinum Dragon King is quite entangled, whether to hand over the destruction of Dragon King and the magic tree set Qi to the control of the Scythian theocracy. To be fair, he does not trust the Scythian theocracy. We're here. At this time, the armor he controlled remotely had also reached its destination. Let's end the battle as soon as possible. The Platinum Dragon King sighed. The previous battle was urgent and the Dragon Kings had no time to deal with Set Qi, so they chose to seal it. But now, after 100 years of aftershocks, the power that polluted the world is about to appear again. Before that, it is better to get rid of this thing directly. In his words, he did not mean to take the magic tree Set Qi seriously. Chapter 523 Prosperity vs. Platinum Dragon King. The empty armor soon appeared in the sky above the top forest. However, when the Platinum Dragon King saw the demon tree Set Qi through the armor, he could not help but be stunned. Is this the demon tree Set Qi? The pitch-black giant tree, which is 1,000 meters high, is very different from the tentacle monster and the giant tree posture in the Platinum Dragon King's memory. What is going on? After being sealed for hundreds of years, there has been a change? The Platinum Dragon King, who has lived for more than 10,000 years and is the son of the Dragon Emperor, has doubts about his memory. From his perspective, he can see that on the giant tree, the human-shaped relief, a female relief with her arms crossed and her arms around herself, is closing her eyes. Although 500 years have passed, the Platinum Dragon King can be sure that this giant tree is not the same as the demon tree he saw before. The most impressive thing for the Platinum Dragon King is the 6 strange tentacles over 600 meters long and the big mouth on the trunk when the other party was sealed. However, the posture of the demon tree Set Qi at the moment is too different from the monster in his memory. This is clearly a real giant tree. Tree spirit, the demon tree Set Qi, or prosperity, in the dense branches and leaves, along with the dark lines emerging and expanding. A blond young man walked out and sat down on the branches near the hair of the female relief, on the body of 1,000 meters high. The blond young man had no sense of existence at all. His body size was not even as big as a single hair of the female relief, or a tuft of hair. Supreme. The female relief opened her eyes, and a soft female voice sounded in Qin Ren's ears. Qin Ren just shrugged his shoulders at the title of her, and asked with interest, "How is it? Can you beat him? There is no one stronger than him in this world." In his opinion, the strength of the Platinum Dragon King is also very weak. Qin Ren has no intention of carefully exploring how weak he is. Anyway, he does not intend to do it himself. However, judging the strength, in the original work, the specific fighting scene is not described. Only the animation describes the Platinum Dragon King controlling the armor. Xiao Tier's initial attack could not even break the defense. She was hammered to the ground by the Platinum Dragon King's control armor, skipping the second form directly, and was forced to directly activate the third form, the Valkyrie form, and then used the dropper spear to poke several holes in the armor. Then she ran away. Combining these situations, the combat power of the control armor should be weaker than Xiao Tier's third form, and the strength of the second form is unknown. Xiao Tier is level 100. At the same level, a wizard like Hulbert who specializes in firepower can't destroy the city with one blow, but it can be equal to the opponent. For the time being, the Platinum Dragon King is also considered to be at the same level, and is at the same level as the Prosperity. Roughly speaking, it is a battle of equal strength. Qin people made a rough estimate. In response to Qin Ren's question, Fan Rong's eyes swept over the humanoid platinum armor floating in the north and outside the top forest. Although it is a bit difficult, it should be no problem to win. Such an enemy is difficult for Fan Rong to deal with, because the path he walks is life. He is good at dealing with living things, and this humanoid armor is a remotely controlled armor, not a life, so abilities such as Fatal Siphon cannot be used. Effects such as poison will also be ineffective, and the corrosive effect will also be reduced. To deal with such an enemy, only brute force can be used. As for using a large number of servants to deal with it, there is no need for that. Then I'll leave it to you. After saying this, Qin Ren leaned back, and Fan Rong immediately touched the branches and vines to form a comfortable seat. When Qin Ren entered the mode of watching the show, the suspicious Platinum Dragon King did not move, because he discovered other situations. There are many elves, tree spirits, tree people and orcs under the demon tree Setqui. The Platinum Dragon King clearly remembered that when the demon tree Setqui appeared, the vitality of all nearby creatures was sucked dry by it, and the surrounding area turned into a dead land. At the beginning, there seemed to be a group of dark elves living here, because of the appearance of the demon tree Setqui. These dark elves moved to other places. Even the trees died. But now, how can there be living creatures living near Setqui? How is this possible? Unless this is not Setqui, or the Setqui that was sealed at that time just fell into madness for some reason. Is Setqui now recovered? The Platinum Dragon King made a guess. However, when he tried to prepare to talk to the Setqui who has returned to normal, he heard a manic roar. Amid the sharp cry, he saw that the trees in the entire forest quickly turned black. Then, visible to the naked eye, countless twisted branches grew on these giant trees, like tentacles. Countless pitch-black, tentacle-like branches rose from the ground and wrapped around him. Puppet tree spirits, wild growth, strangling wedge. Prosperity launched an active attack. Puppet tree spirits, those trees that turned pitch-black have been eroded by Prosperity, and these trees have become part of his limbs. If he wants, he can control trees as large as a city at most. There is no problem in directly bringing the entire top forest under control. But Prosperity did not do that. After all, there is no need. Wild growth can make plants and other creatures go berserk and add blood-sucking effects, and greatly enhance attack power. However, it has no effect on dealing with this armor. The actual effect is only the latter. The power of wild growth is attached to the strangling vines, and the damage caused is comparable to the world's grip. What a stupid idea. The Platinum Dragon King did not know how powerful these inconspicuous black vines were. Because he was attacked without any signs, he gave up his previous speculation. Although the appearance has changed, it is still the same crazy creature as before. Moreover, although it is unknown what has changed, there is no doubt that this is not a positive change. There is no possibility of communication. Just like before, it is a dangerous thing. Destroy. The Platinum Dragon King made a decision and controlled the armor. The floating weapons similar to those of Lags, short-handled warhammers, long swords and various weapons flew out from behind the armor and attacked the pitch-black vines. With the dull sound of metal collision, the floating weapons were instantly knocked away by the strangling vines, and some of them even shattered directly. How is this possible? This inconspicuous pitch-black vine is so powerful. Chapter 524, Platinum Dragon King defeats. However, even though his weapon was knocked away and the dark vines were approaching his chest, the Platinum Dragon King still had no worries. This armor was not his real body, and even if it was destroyed, it would not affect his body. This was one of the reasons, but it was not the most important one. The most important thing was his confidence in his own strength. Even if it was just the armor he controlled remotely, it had a terrifying power that was shocking. The platinum golden light surged under the empty armor, and several consecutive shockwaves surged from under the armor, like an expanding barrier, colliding with the dark vines. Accompanied by a strong tremor, the dark vines were repelled. The Qin people sitting in the prosperous air looked at this scene and raised their eyebrows with interest. This is the so-called origin magic. The current magic system of this world is rank magic. Rank magic is the magic system in the game, and origin magic is the original magic system of this world. According to the current information, during the period of the 6 gods, the 6 gods who used rank magic were still suppressed by the origin magic. But in the period of the 8 desire kings, the 8 desire kings used a powerful item to directly change the magic system. According to the dragon kings, it was the rank magic that replaced the power of the original magic, which was polluting. The original magic system was polluted by the items of the 8 desire kings, and the rank magic became the formal and universal magic in this world. The type of original magic is soul magic, a very primitive type of magic that requires killing a large number of targets, sacrificing souls, or using one's own soul power to perform. One's own soul power is limited, and it is difficult to recover it by converting the vitality obtained from eating into magic power like magic power. Although soul power can also be recovered, the speed is extremely slow, and even if the soul is mastered better and consumes less, using it in large quantities will still cause problems. Therefore, the way to use the original magic is mostly to sacrifice and use the soul power of others to perform. And if you learn rank magic, you cannot use the original magic. To describe it, the magic in this world is possessed by the creatures themselves, like a glass of water. The origin magic is colorless, while the rank magic is colored. Once you learn the rank magic, your soul will be polluted and you will not be able to use the origin magic. For the Qin people now, with just one glance, he can see the difference between the soul power surging in the armor of the Platinum Dragon King and other magic chanters. But, it's a pity with just this, you can't even beat half of Prosperity. Prosperity has fought against the gods and servants of the type moon world. Although it is not the body of the gods, it is much stronger than the body of the Platinum Dragon King. After the surging soul power shook the black vines away, the Platinum Dragon King widened his eyes. It was just a repel. Although this attack was used for defense, the power of this attack was enough to severely damage an enemy with the same strength as him. Such a strong defense? The slightly shocked Platinum Dragon King opened his hands in the humanoid armor, and the floating weapons that were knocked back flew back to his body, spiraling in front of him like a spiral ball. When the black vines that were repelled flew again, the humanoid armor was surrounded by a platinum glow, and the whole body accelerated a lot, turning into a white light to avoid the attack. At the same time, the spiral ball surrounded by the glory of the soul bombarded towards Fan Hong's body. Under the lingering glory of the soul, the spiral ball composed of several weapons trembled with a buzzing sound, like a meteor across the sky, and aimed at the female relief on Fan Hong's body that was embracing herself. Obviously, the Platinum Dragon King regarded this as a key point. Wild growth. Facing the offensive, Fan Hong's body also circulated with the evil light, and the agitated breath of life rose on the body. This time, the wild growth was not imposed on the dark forest below, but on his own body. The hands that were holding themselves suddenly raised up, and the gentle woman who looked like a relief, half of her body was directly out of the tree trunk, as if she walked out of it. Under the huge body, the slender arms blocked the spiral ball like a huge wall. Then crack, the hands that surged with violent aura clenched hard. With the sound of shattering, the spiral ball exploded. The soul light lingering on it also disappeared and disappeared without a trace. It's really difficult. The Platinum Dragon King narrowed his eyes. But my things are not so easy to destroy. Explosion. In the simple and unpretentious address, Fan Rong immediately sensed that the soul aura that had disappeared in the weapon that was originally crushed by him surged again. Then bang, with a bang, the white light exploded, covering most of the body of the female giant who was several hundred meters tall. Watching this scene, the Platinum Dragon King in the distance breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it's solved. The power in the armor is almost used up. To remotely control the armor, it is naturally necessary to have power in the armor. However, just now, after realizing that the opponent has a strong defense, he immediately changed his mind about fighting and changed to a one-time burst, trying to kill or seriously injure the opponent directly. And now, it succeeded. At this moment, a chuckle sounded in his ears. Little lizard, it's too early to be happy. He is not afraid of getting hurt. At the moment this voice sounded, he saw that the female giant embedded in the tree trunk like a relief was still standing there. His attack did blow up the female giant's arms. However, at this moment, the opponent's hands were regenerating at a speed visible to the naked eye. In less than a second, the arms were already intact. Such a scene naturally shocked the Platinum Dragon King, but more importantly, at this moment, most of the branches and roots of the 1,000-meter-high giant tree were already surging. Moreover, it was not the giant tree itself. In the Tobu forest, the pitch-black color spread rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the entire forest became pitch-black in an instant. Then these pitch-black trees twisted and surged together with the giant tree itself, forming a huge palm, the grip of the world. It was as if the world itself stretched out its palm to him, as if, no, the entire forest launched an attack. There was no escape. The countless branches and vines used from all directions made the Platinum Dragon King realize this. With a slight sound, the next moment, the vision of the remote-controlled armor became pitch black. The Platinum Dragon King, who was crawling on the ground, moved his four legs in unison, raised his body, and the huge platinum wings also spread out. The demonic tree Setku-I was far more powerful than he expected. Moreover, the voice just now, the Platinum Dragon King's eyes swept around, and there was no one else except his friend, who was a little surprised because he stood up. That voice did not sound next to the armor, but the sound that sounded next to his body. Chapter 525, Dark Scripture. When the Platinum Dragon King was repelled, a group of people appeared near the village of Qin in the southern part of the top Great Forest. Most of them were dressed the same, in uniform white. Among them, a few were slightly different in their attire from the others. A young man who looked less than 20 years old, carrying a knight's lance, exuded a strange aura. The captain of the secret army of the Silian theocracy, the first seat. The name of the army was taken from his title, the Black Scripture. A swordsman who could be a boy or a girl, wearing a mini gentleman's hat, carrying a western rapier, and equipped with a metal plate covering the back of his hand. The second seat of the Black Scripture, Time Turbulence. A blonde woman wearing a light shielding suit with feathers. The fourth seat of the Black Scripture, Holy Mantra. There was a tall and strong man with a strong body, more than 2 meters tall, equipped with a huge shield in each hand that could be used for beating. The eighth seat of the Black Scripture, Giant Arm 10,000 Shields. Another man, with a headband and ponytail tied behind his head, and a dragon tattoo near his left eye, has a short sword and chains on his feet. The ninth seat of the Black Scripture is God's Chain. An old man wearing heavy armor, looking extremely strong, holding a huge axe. The 10th seat of the Black Scripture is the strongest of humanity. A middle-aged man equipped with a power suit like outer garment, with hand and foot armor on the uncovered parts of his limbs. The 11th seat of the Black Scripture is Heaven and Earth. Behind them, surrounded by everyone in a protective formation, is an old woman wearing very subtle clothes. Although it can be vaguely seen that she should have been a beautiful woman when she was young, her wrinkled face and loose skin now have nothing to do with sexiness. However, now, she is wearing a white high-split cheongsam. If worn on a young woman with a graceful figure, it will look quite sexy. But the one worn on this old woman, although the members of the Black Scripture who were responsible for protecting her did not show any obvious emotions, no one looked at her. Even if they looked at her, they would keep their eyes above the waist. Pull, except for the 3rd, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 12th seats, all the members of the Black Scripture are here. Obviously, the person who was protected by the strongest troops of the church is a very important person, because the white high-split cheongsam she was wearing was the only true artifact of the church, and it was an item passed down by the 6 gods, the most beautiful thing in the country. This Lord Carrie has a very high status in the Silian church, otherwise this prop would not appear on her. This time, the purpose of their coming here is to subdue the Dragon King of Destruction, the magic tree Setku-I. Lord Keller, we are almost at the top forest. It will only take a little time to reach the location of the magic tree. The captain of the first seat, who has the blood of the 6 gods, wore a mask like the other members of the Black Scripture. He made a slightly dull voice through the mask. There was no need for any map or other guidance. At this distance, The 1,000-meter-high giant tree was directly reflected in their eyes. The destruction of Dragon King seems to be rioting. The second seat, the young swordsman who looked like a boy and a girl, whose gender could not be distinguished, said in a neutral voice, "Captain, Lord Carey, we need to hurry." Although they did not see the battle between the Prosperity and the Platinum Dragon King, they could see countless black tentacles rising from the earth and swaying in the sky. In their eyes, this was the riot after the destruction of Dragon King woke up. Unlike the Platinum Dragon King, they did not have the memory of the destruction of Dragon King's true appearance or any video data, only some descriptions such as huge, tree-like, and tentacles. Hundreds of years ago, it was the Dragon Kings, not humans, who sealed the demonic tree. At that time, humans discovered that the Dragon Kings appeared in the top forest, and they thought that it was the Dragon Kings who caused the disaster. The titled Dragon King of Destruction also appeared at that time. As the top power on the human side, the Scythian theocracy is also the top power in this world, so it naturally knows more details. They are also quite clear that it was not the real dragons who caused the disaster. However, in this world, before the 6 gods and 8 Izir kings appeared, the dragons were the strongest race in this world and the rulers of this world. The Scythian theocracy calls all powerful beings Dragon Kings, regardless of whether the other party's appearance is that of a dragon. They only distinguish one thing, true or false Dragon King. One of the criteria for the Scythian theocracy to judge all powerful beings is suspected of possessing original magic. As long as it is suspected, even if it is finally determined that they do not possess original magic, they will still be called Dragon Kings. The true Dragon King is the Dragon King who possesses original magic, and the false Dragon King is the Dragon King who does not possess original magic. Now, even though they knew that the true form of the Destroyer Dragon King was very strange, they still kept the title of Destroyer Dragon King. As for the 1,000-meter-high body, although they were a little surprised, they didn't think it was strange when they thought of the body of another Dragon King, Holy Sky Dragon King, a giant dragon flying in the sky, a true Dragon King who mastered the origin magic, a giant creature like an island. The body of this Destroyer Dragon King was completely a small man in front of the other party. "Let's move on and solve it as soon as possible," the old woman called Keller, who was wearing a high split cheongsam that didn't match her age, said with a serious expression. Of course she knew the changes in her own age, but she had been wearing this artifact since she was young. The meaning of this real artifact was not an ordinary piece of clothing for her. Without an absolute big deal, she would not wear it at all. It has been many years since she put it on this time. Wearing this real artifact means that there is something that needs to be solved by her. And now, solving this matter as soon as possible is the most important thing. Yes, Master Keller. The masked members of the Black Scripture responded collectively. In the forest, Qin Ren, who was originally sitting in the prosperous hair, was now standing on the ground, looking down at the armor. In front of him was a platinum-colored armor, a humanoid armor controlled by the Platinum Dragon King. Now, he had a new idea, a very interesting idea. The Platinum Dragon King stayed in the Council Kingdom to guard the props left by the 8 Izir Kings. He would not run away unless there was something important. Then, this armor could be used to do something for him. For example, fighting against Nazarick. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.